Hi, everybody. Some people say that this emoji looks like Sheriff Tobe. What do you guys think? All right, now I'm going to change the background. Hold on. Hi, everybody. So I'll start fairly quickly, I guess. Thanks for joining. I did a member live chat yesterday, so I'm just going to review pretty much the same thing I did yesterday. So I have my monthly PowerPoint where I update everything that's happened in the past month since my last live chat. I have Charmaine says it's an uncanny resemblance. I have a few pictures to show, and I have a spreadsheet that I'm working on that. I don't know if we'll get to that. So I'll start pretty quick because I don't like delaying getting to the good stuff. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see some names I haven't seen in a while. So here we go. I'm going to share my latest PowerPoint. Hold on. Let me take myself off the screen. I'm going to just show, I'm going to read through this, and then I will go one by one through everything. So I don't know if I can make this bigger. Hold on. No, I can't, unfortunately. Hold on. Technical difficulties already. All right, hopefully you guys can see that. Let's see. So Kegan, Kline, it's just one thing after another with him. I mean, I can't believe this, but on the other hand, I can. So he showed up to court on Friday and he's supposed to be sentenced, and he wants to withdraw his plea. So there's been a few updates on that I'll start with that in a minute. Regarding Rick, he's had a few different things, like the prosecution has submitted a few subpoenas, including for Rick's former employer, CVS Pharmacy, and Westville Correctional, where he's been at. April 28th, there was correspondence to and from the court filed. It said it was from a Westville Correctional inmate letter. So we're not sure if it's from Rick or another inmate. It's probably from Rick. May 3rd, the prosecution submitted some subpoenas and summons. And then Rick's defense replied with a request to prohibit public access to a court record, motions to quash 4 subpoenas, motion to reconsider and request for due process hearing, possibly related to transferring Rick out of, or he was transferred to Westville without a hearing. May 17th, a verified motion for temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction, which may not have been a restraining order against a person. It may have been about court and stuff. Next up for Rick, after this behind the scenes stuff that they're doing with these subpoenas and stuff, is he's supposed to have his bail hearing, and the trial date is supposed to be scheduled on June 15th, which is a Thursday. And they also blocked off Friday the 16th. I will be doing my member live chat on Saturday the 17th, and I will probably do a public chat on Sunday the 7th or the 18th, depending on how well this one goes. And also there was a documentary released within the past week or so. The channel Fig Solves shared a 2019 documentary, which we'll talk about that and a few other things. So we will start with Kegan. Hold on, I guess I'll come on camera for a second. No, I don't want that one. Hold on. All right, we'll go with that. So Kegan, he showed up to court, and we were all expecting him to finally be sentenced for his CSAM charges, which police knew about since like 6 years ago. He's finally on. He's not on trial. He submitted a guilty plea. There was no plea agreement apparently. So I guess about a week ago, I'm not sure exactly how these trials work, but a prosecutor will submit a report to the judge saying, this is all like the main evidence, and here's what we suggest for his sentence. And there's something called concurrent or consecutive sentences. So he's currently charged with 25 different, I think they're all felonies. And they have a different amount of, there's 2 different classes, I think a level 5 and a level 6. And the judge can do either concurrent, which is where he would combine various charges into, like, if he has like 10 charges that are similar, instead of getting like 2 years, 2 years, 2 years consecutive, he would just get 2 years concurrent and combined. So the prosecutor has suggested that Kegan get consecutive sentences, which means a longer sentence. And it seems like Kegan has gotten anxious to finally hear that he might die in jail if he gets like 40 plus years. So he showed up to court and I mean, he withdrew his guilty plea. So apparently, I guess Friday, or maybe it's on Saturday, you can see up there it says a motion to withdraw appearance. And there's been various speculation. Did Andrew Akey, his public defender, quit or did he fire him? People are saying usually the defendant cannot fire a public defender. So what's going to happen next? Are you guys think Kegan is going to try to like get a trial? Because it seems so obvious to me that he's guilty with all this CSAM on these 6 different devices. I mean, I just don't understand what his plan is here. It seems like he's delaying going from jail to prison, which people say are worse. And since he's charged with crimes against children for the CSAM, other prisoners aren't going to be too happy to welcome him into prison. So next up, I think it said by next Friday, the prosecution and the defense has to submit various filings related to what happens next. And on June 1st, I think there's going to be a hearing, and his new sentencing date has been moved to July 27th. So who knows what's going to happen with him? He's just so ridiculous. Anyway, hi to everybody who I've missed you saying hi. It's nice to see some names I haven't seen in a while. Hey, DNA King. Let's see. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about or add to this Kegan nonsense? Cold Truth. Hi. He can choose to represent himself. It's called pro se. Can you imagine Kegan representing himself? I just don't understand what he's thinking other than trying to delay the inevitable as much as possible. Hey, Stephanie, nice to see you. The power, he definitely doesn't want a jury. Yeah, I mean, there's no way that 12 people are going to look at all this evidence and say he's not guilty. I mean, he admitted to being guilty. So I don't know. I just want to move past Kegan. I'm not sure still if he has anything to do with Delphi. I don't know. I don't want to speculate, although all I do is speculate. DNA King says, sounds like he is helping with the Delphi case to me. Well, at what point would the police or the prosecutor charge him with Delphi? Are they waiting to wrap up this CSAM case? DNA King is a lawyer, so hopefully he can provide some insight. Shane. Hi, Shane. Imagine if he represents himself, he can barely talk. Yeah, I mean, there's talk about whether his trial is not going to be televised live. Indiana added some law recently where they will allow cameras in the courtroom, but it depends on the judge. So I'm not expecting, there were no cameras allowed at Kegan's trial or his court date a few days ago. So I'm not expecting in the future that they would change that, especially since it deals with CSAM and juveniles and stuff like that. Also for Delphi, I doubt Judge Gull is going to allow cameras. Yeah, Betty, he's just delaying going to prison. Hi, CJK. He's feigning ignorance about what all he had in his possession for CSAM, blaming his attorneys, wants to delay it for as long as possible. Jail is better than a long prison stint. Yeah. So just to add some more clarification, he said that he did not see certain evidence. And it seems like there's 2 pieces that he may have referenced. One, which Aspen Connor, he had somebody he has people on the inside, like I was saying before, who kind of like did shorthand of what happened in court. And apparently Kegan said he did not see evidence. And one thing he said was he did not see the transcript, that 194-page transcript that I read during my 4.5-hour Kegan deep dive, where I was like imitating Kegan, like, I don't know. So he said that he did not see the transcript of that, but it's like, dude, you were there. You were the one who said the stuff in the transcript. Like, what are you complaining about? And there's one other thing, apparently. He said he did not see, there was maybe a table of evidence taken from a report, like maybe one of the CSAM device reports. And the prosecutor in that report that she gave to the judge like a week prior saying, here's the evidence and why I think Kegan should get a long sentence. She apparently like cut and paste maybe a table and it included a username or an email that Kegan is denying was related to him. But it's like, you really think that's going to change how guilty you are in your sentence? I don't know. He's just being ridiculous. Let's see. Charmaine says, Aspen, you're kind of a big deal around here. Just saying, yeah. He's a moron. Who, me or Kegan? Oh my gosh. What? Hold on. Let's see. Cassidy Jewell says, there's no deal. He's not helping with Delphi. I really want to find out what happened last August. So I think it was August 18th. The prosecutor filed some stuff on my case, which is the Indiana like court system filings, but they made it secret. And apparently Kegan was taken out of the county jail, the Miami County Jail. There's been speculation that he went to the Wabash River because the next day is when they started that 5-week Wabash River search. So people were speculating that Kegan went there and said to police, okay, when maybe me and my father were coming back from the Delphi murders, we threw a gun, a knife, some kind of burner telephone or something like that. So that's what people were speculating at the time. So I just really want to know, was Kegan, what did he tell police in mid-August that caused them to start this Wabash River search? And was he lying? I mean, we know that I gave him the nickname Kegokio because he lies like Pinocchio, but how would he lie to police and say, okay, yes, go look in the Wabash River for something and then give me a better deal for my CSAM? I don't know. It's so odd to me. And why have police not charged him with Delphi? They've known about him for 6 years. Lala One Fogo, move him on over to the federal prison with his buddy Rick Allen while he waits too comfy in his pedo pod. Hi, retired teacher. He's gained a lot of weight in jail. Yeah, a lot of people commented about that. Some people say that since in a previous court appearance, he said he suffers from, I think he said schizophrenia and bipolar, but it was kind of like self-diagnosed. He didn't like give any evidence that a medical doctor or psychiatrist diagnosed him with that. So some people are saying maybe he's on some kind of antidepressant that's making him gain even more weight. DNA King, all this dancing without finality in his case suggests strongly that he's giving info. All right. Hi, Betsy. I don't know about that, but thank you. CJK, other than Anthony Schatz, we speculate his relationship with Allen and others possibly involved in the murders. Well, if he was communicating with Rick Allen and he said Libby's going to be at the bridge expecting Anthony Schatz, why have police not been able to find that connection when they look through all of Kegan's devices and his cell phones and his emails? It's like, how would Kegan have been communicating with Rick Allen and it not being like Rick's phone number or some kind of email associated with Rick? I don't know. Hi, Ann. I'd pay to watch Kegan represent himself. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Cassidy, why would Kegan give info about Delphi when he's not getting a deal for anything? Well, there's been a few filings on my case where it shows that they were in some kind of plea agreements over the past, whatever, year or so. And then they mentioned that they broke off. So was that a plea agreement to do something with CSAM or something with Delphi? Because in the end, there was no plea agreement as up to a few days ago when he was about to get sentenced. Hippie, looking like the penguin walking out of court. Hi, Deviant Motives, thank you. Stay tuned for my spreadsheet later. I'm kidding. No, I do have a spreadsheet. I'm not sure if I'm going to share it. It's just like, there's so many theories in this case and there's so many facts that it's hard to keep track. So I decided to create a spreadsheet where right now I only have 4 different theories. And I just, like you guys know, my previous like deep dives, I try and come up with like for and against. So the spreadsheet just has like 4 theories and reasons for and against. I'll show you in 5 hours. When are we done? We're at 14 minutes. All right, here we go. Hold on. Digital. Hi, Digital. I thought any defendant could appear before a judge, present reasons, and request change of counsel, public defender or not. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I heard that he wrote a letter to the judge that he wanted to read before he was sentenced to try and get a lesser sentence. But I heard that his lawyer wasn't going to allow him to read it, which I don't think that's even possible. Hi, Mary Margaret. Does the motion to withdraw appearance mean he fired his attorney? Does anyone know for sure? I don't think anyone knows for sure, but I'm pretty sure we'll find out next week. DNA King, he'll never be charged with the Delphi murders. If he knows something about those murders, he's giving info. He has no incentive to give info in his CSAM if his CSAM case is final. Yeah, but if Kegan was involved somehow, like just saying somehow to Rick or an anonymous person through like chatting and Snapchat that Libby was going to be at the trails, why has he not given up that information in the past? Like, why would he be protecting Rick? I mean, we know he lies, but I don't know. Cassidy says his attorney was with him in court on the 18th, so I doubt he's fired. This all happened after Kegan, quote unquote, pulled this stunt with changing his plea at the last minute, Cassidy. Shane says, I don't think he could or would be able to wait this long with relevant Delphi info. Hi, Marshall. Nice to see you. Cassidy says, maybe he's going to try to pin everything on the second user of the account because law enforcement said two distinct people were using the phone's accounts. Well, my argument against that is in Kegan's 2020 police interview, they said that they found him after Ski Mask Girl, which I'm sure you guys all know about that incident, which who knows if it's even true. She said that she got off a bus. She had given her home address to Anthony Schatz. And when she got off the bus from school on a week after the murder, so this was Monday, February 20th, she said that a man was looking in her bedroom window on the first floor, I guess, and he was wearing a ski mask. And she, I guess, filed a police report. I guess she told police, yeah, I gave my address to this guy, Anthony Schatz, online. Police contacted, I guess, Instagram to see who is connecting to this Anthony Schatz profile. And it came back, I think it was Comcast, said an IP address in Peru, Indiana, at Kegan's father's house. So that's how they found out about Kegan. And the thing where they're talking about two distinct users on the morning of the murders logging in and out of, I guess, Kegan's Snapchat or the Anthony Schatz Snapchat on two different phones. I'm almost certain that the IP address for both of those would have been Kegan's house. So if Rick or somebody else was a second user of the account, wouldn't it show one person at the Kline's house and then one or whatever, like Rick Allen's IP address in Delphi? So that's why I don't really think that there was any sharing of that Anthony Schatz profile. It could have just been like Kegan actually telling the truth that I don't know what his excuse was about logging in and out of the two phones, but obviously at some point people were speculating, was Kegan's dad the second user? Because what did I say? Somebody needs to put out an Amber Alert for Tony Kline's missing punctuation because he doesn't use periods and stuff. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know the answers to some of these things. Hi, Fig Solves. We'll get to your documentary in about 3 hours, but thanks for joining. I'm glad Aspen isn't a mod here. I know he would delete all the nice comments about me. Oh my gosh. I don't want to highlight some of these mean overweight jokes. CJK, he can't see certain evidence related to CSAM while in jail. Actually see it is what I read in another chat. Pretty sure his attorney went over all of it with him. Well, I saw something where they took Kegan, or no, they didn't take him out of jail. I think they brought the evidence to jail. The prosecutor, Detective Vito, and Kegan's public defender, Andrew Akey, I guess they showed Kegan all this evidence. So him saying that he did not see stuff is kind of ridiculous. Hi, Regular Mo. How is he not losing weight in jail? I said before he might be on some kind of depression medication that adds weight. Cassidy says that August was the river search. I definitely believe Kegan was responsible for that search. So I think that started around August 19th, and it happened for about 5 weeks, so till late September. And then in Rick Allen's PCA, it said investigators reviewing prior interviews, and that's how they came across Rick. Which to me, like this case, both cases, this Kegan CSAM and the Delphi murders, it's insane to me that bad police procedures have resulted. Like Kegan, they found his CSAM in February 2017. He was not arrested for 3.5 years. That's insane to me. And the whatever, the FBI, Indiana State Police, Delphi Police, Carroll County sheriffs, they did not have a procedure in place for collecting these interviews and these tips. I know that they said that at some point in the first few weeks, there were over 200 officers from 20 different agencies. So I totally understand that it was kind of a cluster F. But still, it's just so crazy because, I mean, just misplacing that one interview has cost millions of dollars. It's all these like law enforcement people have worked overtime, like missed family functions trying to figure this thing out. The family has gone through absolute hell, all because they didn't have a proper procedure in place. So it's like, Doug Carter, what have you guys learned from both of these cases? Like, why did Carroll County not inform Miami County of Kegan CSAM for 3.5 years? Anyway. Sorry, I'm looking through. Uh-oh. Wound Tepster's here. I was hoping you died. I'm kidding, Wom. Silas Stingy, did the Wabash search lead to RA? I think I kind of just said, I don't know. It does not seem to me like it did. There was some rumor that after 5 weeks, the police did find something. I'm sure somebody in this chat knows what they did, but they won't share it with me. It may have been a burner phone, and that's just a rumor. Don't quote me on that. But from what I think the murder sheet said, it was nothing of relevance to Delphi, whatever they did finally find. Jordan says this is textbook Kegokio behavior. I know, it's like, I don't know. I've been waiting to see how long he's going to end up in jail, because apparently some people are saying up to 45 years. And if he's almost 30 now, I mean, he's going to die in jail. So I can see that he's getting anxious. He says he suffers from anxiety. So, I mean, just finally hearing a judge saying you're going to die in jail, it's obviously not fun, but he put himself into this situation. Yes, digital. Sorry. I got to that part. Sorry. Sorry, just going through a few things here. Betsy, do you think Kegan has the athleticism to get Abby and Libby crime scene? I don't think, if you watch to the end of my 4.5-hour deep dive on the Klines and Ron Logan, my verdict was that I did not think that bridge guy was either Kegan, his dad, or Ron Logan. So I don't know that Kegan was there that day. I have seen chirps, and I know a few other people on here were sent some chirps that some people were communicating with Kegan when he was in jail. And it seems like he was kind of stringing people along and making up lies just to get them to continue sending him money. So he said, I mean, I saw chirps, and it seems like they were valid chirps. They weren't like faked, where he was saying, the person asked him, how did you and your dad get to Delphi that afternoon? What did your dad wear? And so Kegan says something like, we took his red Jeep. My dad wore his jeans and jacket. And I think he said that his dad burned it after, which to me at this point, it seems like it was a lie. we've also heard that rumor that Marathon gas station was searched on Kegan's phone, or not phone. We just heard that Kegan searched Marathon gas station on the day of the murders, which that's interesting why he would do that, but I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever get the answers to this. Hi, Rojam. No, I remember you. You were one of the few people last June who joined my live chat on video and wasn't a troll. What's your opinion of the investigation overall? I think I just kind of said it before. Like, I think it was a total mess, and they really need to do something to say, okay, where did we go wrong in this case? And I was thinking before, it's like, wasn't like a Georgia investigative team came in and they reviewed the evidence. So how did they miss Rick's interview? And in April 2019, when they were preparing that press conference and putting out that younger guy sketch, did they not go back and like review all their evidence? Just something similar to that. People have this conspiracy theory that Rick was arrested around right before the Carroll County sheriff, I guess Tobe, there's certain term limits. So there was this election for the Carroll County sheriff, and it was Tony Liggett, who's been in charge of, or one of the people in charge of the Delphi case for a long time. And people think that Tony Liggett and Carroll County and ISP somehow conspired to like finally make this arrest just to help Tony Liggett get elected as sheriff. But I was thinking, if I was a citizen there, I would not promote somebody who messed up this investigation for 5.5 years. So there's that. Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you. Yes, hippie. Hopefully these girls will get justice. One of my biggest concerns is that at the end of this trial, if it does happen, if the jury says any kind of not guilty, that this family or both families, I mean, they've just been through a nightmare for the past 6 years. This trial might not happen for like 3 or 4 years. There might be appeals, and it's just like a never-ending nightmare for these people. Hi, Hybrid Pisces. Nice to see you. I missed you too. We love your spreadsheets. All right, spreadsheet coming up in 4 hours. What did I miss? I'm currently 20 minutes behind. Marshall says it cannot be a coincidence that CSAM is related to the deaths of Abby and Libby. I don't know. I mean, in this documentary that came out, the documentary lady, Hannah Shakespeare, said that she looked on Libby's app, which is Musically, where they kind of like sing. And I guess Abby and Libby posted a video of them singing. And there was a user who wrote hi. And I guess this Hannah Shakespeare woman like looked into that user, and she said he was 48 years old from Delphi, but he did not match up to the bridge guy, like height and weight or something like that. So she was talking with other people, unfortunately. I guess if she was looking for a boyfriend and talking to Anthony Schatz, it seems reasonable that she would be talking to other men or other boys or men pretending to be boys. I don't know. All right, sorry, I'm just looking through comments here. Pengarth says they were in on it together, but Kegan did not show up on the day. Yeah, but why is it taking police over 6 years and they have not found any connection to Delphi to charge Kegan? Yeah, be respectful to our host. He hates doing live chats. What is the estimated sentence in your opinion? I think a month ago I was saying about 10 years. If I was the judge, I'm so petty. And after what Kegan did a few days ago and like changed his plea or whatever, I would give him an extra 5 years just for being annoying. So at this point, I don't know, Marshall. It'll be interesting to see. He's been in jail almost 3 years. Cassidy says, I believe he was charged with impersonating someone, which is equivalent to catfishing. Yeah, it was synthetic something synthetic impersonation or something like that, which I don't know if it was for Anthony Shots because I looked online and that charge seems to be where you steal someone's like social security number. And I don't know. So I don't know, to be honest. DNA King, how do we know he hasn't given info about the murders? Law enforcement holds back info all the time. They held onto the bullet info for 5 years. Yeah, but DNA King, when do you think they would? I mean, he doesn't have a plea deal, so why would he give information about the murders but not get anything in return for his CSAM charges? And at what point are they going to charge him for Delphi? If he says, I know stuff, wouldn't they charge him with something? Betty B. I think that Kegan absolutely loves the attention. He might have pulled the stunt for the publicity so he can see himself in the press. I don't know that he can. Does he have a TV? I don't know. Hi, it's a crime and shame. Forgot you was live till this started playing. Lol. Hand pink, waving face blue, smiling eyes pink, heart shape. I have to use StreamYard to highlight your comments so emojis don't show up when I highlight them. But thanks for joining. It's a crime machine. Lala. Whatever happened to Lola Falana? Sorry, that was another user in the past. If the brief outlining the appropriate length of his sentence was meant to freak him out and make him talk, then the prosecutor wouldn't have been so ticked off. Yeah, I mean, the prosecutor was really angry, saying, we do not think that it should be delayed. This is during when Kegan showed up. I don't know if it was Thursday. I think it was Thursday. Yeah, Thursday the 18th. The prosecutor was not happy, and she said he's like BSing pretty much. Charmaine says the marathon search that day is what has convinced me Kegan either knew or was there. Yeah, it seems very suspicious, but I don't know. I think the murder sheet was, I mean, they gave good information. So I know some people are disagreeing with me, but it seems like most of the stuff that they put out was accurate. I know some people are saying, well, that red Jeep, Kegan saying he was waiting in a red Jeep. Murder sheet specifically said Kegan is known as Kegokio. So he might be lying to people through these chirps just for attention and more money. So I don't know. Mark is surprised that Tony has not been charged with anything. Well, I know it's like why if Kegan was sharing the stuff with Tony, Tony's never been charged with CSAM or Delphi. So I guess that means that police have not found anything to connect him. How could you forget about Ski Mask Girl? So never mind. After Kegan's trial, I'm going to try and find out if Ski Mask Girl was a real incident or not, because in the 2020 194-page interview, speaking of Tony Kline, I guess you guys have heard he kind of was abusive to, not kind of, but he was very abusive to his stepchildren. And one incident was where his third grade stepson overflowed the toilet and Tony like freaked out and smashed his face and dunked it in there and like it messed up his eye socket. So in Kegan's interview, the police did not specifically say your dad did this. They kind of gave a hypothetical situation and said, what would you think of a man who did this? And Kegan said he should be killed or something like that. So I was wondering, was this ski mask incident some kind of like hypothetical situation where they were trying to get information out of Kegan as the investigators were preparing for this interview with Kegan, like they came up with that toilet like angle? Did they also come up with this ski mask girl fake story about the ski mask guy waiting outside? Marshall, seemed that they were progressing and getting info. As you said, he sent them to the river search. Think they thought he would keep feeding them info with court date, and he stopped, and in my opinion, stalled until now. Hi, the Rockaways. Not necessarily, could have used some other tech to disguise the chain of access. I guess you're talking about access to Anthony Shots, like a VPN, but I don't know. That would definitely show up in a report. So if they got a report from Instagram for the Anthony Shots profile, if it showed that some access was from Peru at their house, it would also show a bunch of like VPN, or I mean, if it showed like from Mexico or something like that, it would obviously indicate to the police that there was some other user since Kegan didn't go into Mexico. Kennedy said Kegan had seen all discovery as of May 2022, which was a year ago. Yes, the prosecutor said she gave it to him and maybe reviewed it with him a year ago. So they don't know why he's coming up with this last minute thing saying there's evidence he has not seen. Marshall says Rick Allen did not look like a shriveled hamster this time. Which time? That photo, which I don't even know how the defense team was able to take a photo of Rick in prison and release it. Isn't there some kind of rule about taking a photo of a prisoner in prison? And to me, a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, he looks so horrible," but I didn't think he looked that. I mean, he looked bad, but he obviously lost weight because he doesn't have access to alcohol and junk food. I think that red, like whatever jumpsuit, was kind of disguising his actual shape. I don't know. N says police are allowed to lie during interrogation. I think police lied a lot during interrogation with Kegan. Well, they were doing their best Kegan impression then. Good evening, Peter. Hi, little daisies. They need your help. Give them your PowerPoints. Well, I really expect that Prosecutor Nick definitely needs to use a spreadsheet like I created for my Rick Allen deep dive, which shows like the timing of the witnesses and just shows that it's impossible that Rick is telling the truth. Sorry, I'm just looking for comments. And then we'll move on to what's going on with Rick's case in my PowerPoint. All right. That's a good point, actually. Lala says, how in the heck did the police not know to call Kegan's phone in 2017? They would have heard the microwave ringing. So Kegan said, I mean, police raided his house as soon as he and his father got back from Las Vegas on February 25th. And oh God, there's 243 people watching. All right, sorry. Hi, everybody. So people wonder, like, how could police have missed that? And Lala won Fogo. That's a good point. I don't know that they had his exact cell phone number though, but maybe you need to join the Miami County or Carroll County Police Force. Wom says, if I die, I'd love for you to find my true killers. All right, hopefully that won't happen. Marshall says many inmates are medicated on antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, especially in the beginning. I just read many of the older generic antidepressants, cheapest ones, meds do this. All right, thank you. Patricia says it's because Doug Carter was too over emotional and didn't do his due diligence. To me, it seems like there's been like maybe 4 guys who have been in charge of this case. Tony Liggett from Carroll County, Sheriff Toe from Carroll County, Jerry Holman, who I guess is from Indiana State Police, and Doug Carter, who is, his title is superintendent, which is, he's kind of like the spokesperson. And I don't know if he's like the top Indiana State Police guy, but I really believe that none of those 4 guys were even aware of this Rick interview that the conservation officer did. So it's so crazy to me that their process isn't very good. Kennedy, hold on. Kennedy guesses Kegan will get 12 years. I think there's something where even if you're sentenced to 12 years, you get the time served, but you don't even have to serve the full 12 years for some reason. Amy Lynn says, but the officer who interviewed Rick never came out and said, oh, by the way, BS. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying there. People have speculated about who this conservation officer was who interviewed Rick outside of a grocery store. I was looking at a map, like Google Maps. So Rick worked at the CVS in Delphi. It seems like about a block away, there's a Save a Lot, which I guess is a grocery store. So I'm not sure if that's where this interview happened. We still don't know exactly which day this interview happened. So was it before the first photo was released, which I guess was February 15th? The murders happened 13th. The girls were found the 14th. Was it the next day that they put out that photo and the down the hill audio? High caricature contest. I still think there's a pedo ring connection via social media between Kegan and Rick Allen, maybe just to meet the girls, and Allen took it to the extreme. Well, I was thinking that if Rick was also like catfishing girls through social media, he lives so close to Abby and Libby that I know Abby was not supposed to have a cell phone, but maybe she had some secret online profiles. I think she had a Facebook. So some of these apps show people close by. So if Rick was on one of these apps, Libby at least would have definitely showed up close to him, since they were like maybe only 2 miles away. And Delphi isn't that big of a town, but it's like if police looked into Libby's Instagram, why did it not show any fake profiles created by Rick? Shane, Allen wasn't sitting outside using the Kline's Wi-Fi. Kegan was role-playing, or maybe Tony using the account. Yeah, I have not seen any connection to Rick Allen to Anthony Schatz. Hybrid Pisces. Kegan needs to sharpen his singing skills and a few other skills. His knob polishing skills. Sorry, we'll delete that later. Free meal. All right, keep it going. Stephanie says, conservation officer is sus. I don't know. I mean, people, I don't know. I was going to go onto some theory where on Reddit, somebody a few months ago said, we've all been like totally confused about that April 2019 press conference where they released the Justin Timberlake 20-year-old sketch. And it's like, say what? So somebody theorized that maybe a few months earlier, this conservation officer somehow communicated with a law enforcement officer on the Delphi case and said, whatever happened to that guy I talked to outside the grocery store who said he was on the trails during the murders? And maybe Tony Liggett or Sheriff Tobe was like, what are you talking about? We don't know about that. And so he says, oh yeah, I talked to some guy who's like fairly short, in his 40s, and he said he was on the trails that day, and he parked at the old, he said the old Farm Bureau building, but it was the CPS. So did police come up with a strategy that, okay, we need to get this 40-something-year-old guy, which Rick was 44 at the time of the murders, we need to find out who this guy is. So maybe we'll put out a sketch that is a very young guy to make him feel like, okay, they're not looking for me. I will go back in and talk to them. Because another thing I was thinking about earlier, like yesterday, we know that Libby's aunt Tara went into the CVS pharmacy a few days after the murders to get some photos printed of the girls for their wakes or their funerals. And Rick waited on Libby's aunt and he said no charge. So if you truly were innocent and you were on the trails that day and one of the victims' aunts comes in, wouldn't you say, I'm so sorry for what happened. I was on the trails that day. I did not see anything. I can't help you at all, but I was there and I'm so sorry. It's like, did Rick tell Libby's aunt that he was there that day? The CVS is 1 block from Carroll County Sheriff's Office. Did Rick, I'm sure there had to be Delphi police officers and Carroll County Sheriff's officers coming into that CVS all the time. So it's like, how many times did Rick see these officers and say, I was there that day. Do you guys have any update? Like, what's going on? I assume that he never did. And also, wouldn't you tell like all of your friends and coworkers, like, I'm so weirded out that I was there when they were being murdered and I didn't see them? To me, it just seems like Rick is withholding that information, which leads to him being guilty or involved somehow. Marshall says, did Rick have a history of ever coming to Kegan and Tony's house? Well, Rick did work at the CVS pharmacy in Peru, which is where they lived. I don't know how many years he worked there. So if Kegan was on some kind of medication or just going to CVS for some reason, and Tony apparently is bipolar, I'm not sure if he's on medication or if he got it from that pharmacy, but it's like, how do you go from interacting with a pharmacy register worker checking you out to planning a murder of two girls? I don't know. Marshall, what is the estimated sentence if guilty? I think people are saying about 45 years for Kegan CSAM. Hi, Jerry Lynn. Nice to see you. Hi, Judy. Oh, yeah, this is a good point. Hippie says conservation officer could have known Rick Allen. So did he assume, oh, my friend Rick said he was there? I highly doubt it was Rick. So did he not? I don't know. I really want to know how this happened, where this conservation officer took down this information. He took down Rick's cell phone ID. Was it on a piece of paper? And then where did he put that piece of paper? Did he go over to Carroll County Sheriff's? I guess they set up some kind of command center. So it's like, where did that piece of paper end up going, and how did it stay missing for so many years? It seems to me like, if I had to speculate, that the police did this Wabash River search for 5 weeks. The rumor was that Doug Carter got so frustrated that it did not lead to anything for Delphi. He said, all right, we need to go back to the very beginning. Maybe Kathy Shankmeister, her name's Shank, but I call her Shankmeister. She was the only non-law enforcement person on the stage for the press conference announcing Rick's arrest. So Doug Carter thanked her for her dedication to detail. So did she like go through a bunch of old folders and papers, and she found this like piece of paper that said the conservation officer interviewed Rick? And then they were like, holy crap, we totally screwed this up. Yeah, so Hippie, I don't know. His identity has not been identified. Marshall, I thought they had the bullet or casing found at the scene, and I forgot if the suspected gun was seized from RA. Yes, so October 13th, they raided Rick's house. So I guess in late September, they found, or maybe early October, they found this interview. They're like, holy crap. They got some kind of search warrant for Rick's house. They were there all day on the October 13th. They seized a gun, which is a Sig Sauer, and the bullet found like 2 feet, I think, from Libby's body in between the two girls was the same kind of bullet that would match that gun that Rick owned. Lala, you were doing so well before with your theories. Okay, I'm going to put it out there. Is there any proof whatsoever that Ron Logan is really dead? What is the state of his property that everyone was after? Yes, Ron died of COVID. I doubt he would fake his death. Like, I think he was 81 when he died. Or, yeah. I don't think Ron Logan is bridge guy. I think he's dead. And I don't know otherwise if he was involved. So it seems to me like he was not, because you really think like a 77-year-old man who was involved in these murders would agree to go on Inside Edition and all these other local TV stations and say, oh, I hope I can convince people that I'm not guilty. I just don't think that he would do that. And also Fig Solves, who's mentioned in this chat earlier, he was able to find the video of Ron Logan around noon on the day of the murders, emptying his truck at the local like recycling place. And he was wearing his boots that go up to his knees. And obviously we know that bridge guy was not wearing boots up to his knees. Yes, I know he could have changed. A lot of people say, oh, Ron Logan in his interviews is wearing the same exact thing as Bridge Guy. And sorry, but that's not true. I think people kind of just look at one thing and then they make up their mind. But there's this one interview that I think people are referencing where Ron is wearing this like kind of camouflage hat and a blue jacket. But if you watch the entire interview, when the interviewer moves their microphone, there's a huge like white logo over whatever on his chest that does not show up on the Bridge Guy stuff. So I just don't think Ron is Bridge Guy. I don't think that's his voice or his body. Hi, Angel Bear. What? The Rockaways. Speculation that Ron is in Costa Rica living it up on a banana farm. Oh my gosh. Hybrid is using all caps where it's literally incredulous to imagine this much incompetence. Hey Siri, what is the definition of incredulous?
Incredulous means of a person or their manner, unwilling or unable to believe something.
All right, Hybrid is unable to believe this much incompetence. Thanks, Siri. You can go back to sleeping. Cold. I have to do a Siri moment in every live chat. Cold truth. All I know is that I know nothing. I totally agree with you. I hardly know anything about this case after like thinking about it for over 1,000 hours over the past 2 years. I can't make sense of the actions and inactions of law enforcement officers, attorneys, judges, or defendants in either case. I totally agree. And I think we're not going, even if there's a trial, there are so many questions that we're never going to get the answers to them. Hi, Jane. Ski mask. Kegan put the phone in the microwave or on high or set to defrost. Yeah, I mean, it's like, how could police miss this? Because he then went home after his interview on the 25th of February and he deleted stuff, which may have been relevant to Delphi or I don't even know. Yeah, this is a good point, actually. Kennedy says yes, but the PCA was conveniently sealed until after the election, thanks to Nick. The lost interview wasn't seen until after the election. So that's a good point, Kennedy. So voters did not know that this Rick was arrested because it was screwed up within the first few days that his interview was lost. And I don't even know that, I don't know, who cares? Well, I don't know if it's Sheriff Tobe, is he still sheriff or is Tony Liggett the sheriff and Tobe is now a detective? I don't know. I don't know that matters. Hi, Ben. Do you have any new deep dives on the horizon? Hell no. We all really appreciate your thoughtfulness and research. I've learned that we only have limited information and evidence to these cases. Like I've only done Delphi and Missy Beavers. I spent over 600 hours over 8 months, like pretty much every night and weekend trying to find one thing. Like I was trying to find one thing for Delphi to maybe help solve it. And it's like, there's no way I'm going to help solve a case. So no more deep dives. Musically is what TikTok was originally called. I didn't know that. See, you learned something new in a Tom chat. Yeah, and I agree. Like Ron Logan's alibi, it's shady. And some people would say, oh, well, I don't believe that his alibi was only because he did not want to get arrested. But he was 77 years old and he knew that if police came to interview him when there was girls missing around his property, like they were going to find out that he drove and he could go to jail. And if you're 77 and you go to jail, it's like, I don't want to die in jail. So I can see that he would want an alibi. Some people don't think that's a legitimate reason, but okay. Judy really liked the documentary that Fig put up. Yeah, we'll get to that in a few hours. How are we? Oh, we're at 55 minutes. I'm sweating. I need to drink from my Taco Bell cup. Hold on. Hi, Jeff. The cops think they get paid more to say weird, contradictory stuff, that and take their sweet time. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Carroll County procedures and stuff. Hi, Paper Chaser. Thank you. DNA King, he doesn't need to be charged with a crime in order to give information on that crime. But wouldn't he only really divulge it if it's going to help him, especially like with Kegan? That seems to be like his modus operandi. Will Kegan's prison sentence have punctuation? It's going to be a dead end, hopefully, if he's going to die in jail. I'm sweating. Sorry. Marshall says Kegan knows when he gets out down the road, he needs his connections and had time to think through whether it was worth it to burn many bridges. He should fear for his life if he does expose anything. Okay, that might be a reason. Thank you for missing me. DNA King, if who is Bridge Guy? If he's Bridge Guy, but he gave info on Rick Allen, law enforcement doesn't have to charge him to use that info against Rick. Well, in Rick's PCA, they said that Rick is the Bridge Guy. And I've been reluctant to say that Rick is Bridge Guy, if you've seen my previous live chats, because I just don't see Rick's face in the frames of that 1.5 second video of Bridge Guy, which I have in my spreadsheet, my new theories spreadsheet. All right, I'm going to show my spreadsheet right now. Hold on. For my spreadsheet lovers, hold on. I'm sweating. I'm not this red. Hold on. My face changes colors. Sorry. Why am I doing a live chat? All right, hold on. All right, so this is my new theories tracker. All right, let's go down here. So I have, like I said, I created this to kind of keep track of my thoughts. Hold on. Hopefully you can see this. So one theory is Rick Bridge Guy? And I've been reluctant to say if he is. Hold on. Sorry. So reasons for Rick being the Bridge Guy. In the PCA, police stated that he is Bridge Guy. Also, for Rick being the Bridge Guy, he admitted being on the bridge, and the timeline indicates it was 3 minutes before Abby and Libby arrived at the bridge. 3 minutes, sorry, 3 witnesses walked from the bridge. So these 3 juvenile girls were down by the High Bridge, and then they were walking back towards Freedom Bridge. And they said they did not see anyone on the trails until they passed Rick, who was on his way to the High Bridge. Then witness 4, who I call her witness 4, didn't see anyone until she saw Rick standing on platform 1 of the bridge. Then she immediately turned around and saw Abby and Libby about halfway between Mears Lot and the High Bridge, which only takes about 2.5 minutes to get from that halfway point to the bridge where Rick is standing. So how the hell does Rick say he never even saw Abby and Libby, which is one of the things that I just think he's guilty of lying. So Rick's body type matches Bridge Guy. Bridge Guy was walking on the dangerous bridge with his hands in his pockets, which would indicate a local who had walked on the bridge before. Rick owned a gun, and the girls mentioned a gun. A bullet for his type of gun was found near their bodies. I know some people are saying that's not good evidence, but I mean, it is the same type of bullet that matches a gun at his home, so it is somewhat relevant, I would say. No one saw Rick after witness 4 around 1:55, but he said he was on the narrow trails until 3:30. So it's like, where is homeboy for an hour and 15 minutes or so? And all these other people, like flannel shirt guy, Cheyenne and her friend, and arguing couple, and who knows who else. Nobody saw him. There's only 5 benches on the trail, and they're all visible. So to me, he's just lying. So he's guilty of something. So reasons against Rick as the Bridge Guy. To me, this is the biggest thing. The face of Bridge Guy in Libby's video doesn't seem like a close match to Rick, although Bridge Guy and Rick both had facial hair. You guys have heard me before say, like, in that 1.5 second Bridge Guy video, it seems like different faces in between the frames from the first frame, which looks like a larger black mustache. Like, it could look more like Tobe. or Gene Shalit, that movie review guy. But then at the end of that 1.5 second video, the frame looks totally different from that first face that you can kind of see. And to me, it looks like a younger, like blondish guy. So I guess if in that 1.5 seconds, it looks like two totally different men, I guess it could stand to reason that the real face of that person looks nothing like either of those. So I guess that's kind of like also a 4. Not a good enough audio sample released to the public to confirm if Bridge Guy's voice matches Rick. I'm hoping police have had to have said, okay, when we bring Rick in, so they raided his house on October 13th, and then they asked him to come into an Indiana State Police post on October 26th, which was a Wednesday, and they wanted to ask him some more questions. So I guess they matched up the bullet in the previous days, and so they wanted to ask him a few more questions before they officially charged him. So I'm hoping that they videotape that interview that they'll show during the trial, and also asked him a bunch of questions where they're going to be able to say, okay, this voice of Rick Allen in our October 26th interview matches up with Bridge Guy. Hopefully they can maybe have an expert say that it matches up, the two voices between that interview and Bridge Guy audio. Hopefully they'll have either family, friends, or coworkers on the stand who will say, yes, that matches, Bridge Guy's voice matches Rick, which means if he's telling them go down the hill, that means he kidnapped them, which means he's guilty of felony murder. And the last one against is his family, friends, and coworkers did not seem to have noticed a similarity and tipped him into police. I mean, we don't know about that, but I would think if they did, police would have at least looked into it. I don't know. All right, that's enough for my spreadsheet. There's 3 other things up there that maybe we'll get to in a few hours. Hold on. I look so red. I'm not this red. All right, sorry. I'm half an hour behind on comments. Oh wait, I have a banner I have to put here. Hold on. Please be polite to others and don't curse, or I won't highlight your comment. Now back to comments. Where am I? Hold on. Sorry, I'm looking through your comments. Charmaine, was TK ever charged with domestic abuse over the incident with his stepson? I remember reading something where he had to go to jail on weekends, I guess, so he could continue earning money for his family. I'm not sure if it was that incident or another one, Charmaine. He did, according to the murder sheet, who did interview Tony's stepdaughter and stepson, who he shot his stepdaughter with a BB gun, apparently, or allegedly. I think he saw both of them like around town in later years, and it seemed like he did offer some kind of apology, which, I mean, I guess it's nice that he apologized. Who knows if he was an alcoholic or on drugs or not taking medication for his bipolar disorder at the time and acting like a, I don't like to curse, but acting like a blank. Sorry. All right, you guys are, I'm way behind. Hold on. The Rockaways, shouldn't the original PCA for Kegan's arrest in 2017 include the info on the ski mask incident, since that is how they found him? There was, that did get released. But there was a very long report showing all of Kegan's like CSAM devices before he was arrested in, shouldn't there be? Well, Kegan wasn't arrested until 2020. So there was, I guess maybe you're talking about a search warrant for their house in 2017, which that has not ever leaked. Hi, Understand Blue. The ski mask incident was in the media. Are you sure? People are saying that the ski mask incident report is not available because it involves a juvenile, and any kind of like juvenile case, they kind of conceal the records. No, Kegan's dad has not been charged with anything related to CSAM or Delphi. Hybrid has missed. It's nice to see you guys get reunited in live chats. Let's see. So you guys are still talking about the ski mask incident that I was talking about 30 minutes ago. Kennedy says there were 2 other ski mask incidents in 2010. These were reported in the news. They happened in Young America in the same neighborhood that Kegan was living with his mother. Kegan's dad had already moved out. Yeah, there's certain things, like people said that Kegan's dad was known as a peeping Tony, not a peeping Tom. I don't know. Like I said, he's not been arrested. So if police have some kind of evidence that he was doing CSAM or Delphi, why has it been 6 years that he's still around? Marshall, he looked like he had malaria last photo. Who? Kegan or Rick in his red suit? Let's see. Hi, Chicos. There's a murder sheet episode from months ago where they go through Kegan's dad's record, nothing on it about the stepkids. But I'm almost certain I heard something where he had to go to jail on weekends. Rojamno did not enjoy the Shakespeare doc. Nothing that wasn't already said or heard. So I'm going to jump ahead to that, and I'm going to share. What am I sharing? Hold on. Sorry. In my community post on my channel, I posted some of the highlights from that documentary, which was filmed in January and February 2019. And it may have incited Indiana State Police to do that April 2019 press conference, because this woman, Hannah, was saying to them, you guys have not really released a lot of information in the past 2 years. And as far as we see, you have not made any kind of progress. All right, so that's this. Hold on. Let me take this off. So this is just a few general points from, let me take myself off camera. A few general points from this documentary. So this woman went to Delphi in early 2019 and started interviewing various law enforcement and family members. And so these are some interesting points. A 48-year-old Delphi man commented hi on Libby's music app post the day before the murders, which I talked about that before. The documentarian said he was taller than Bridge Guy and not a match. This app had a video of Abby and Libby singing at their sleepover, I think the night before the murders. There was an interview with Libby's male friend who was around her age, and he talked with her the night before the murders. She had recently asked him for help with a 19-year-old guy who was bothering her on Facebook. This possibly could have been Kegan Kline behind the Anthony Schatz profile. I know Kegan said that Libby was annoying. He said that during his police interview. So who knows what kind of conversations those two were having. And it's like, if he said she was annoying, why would he try and meet up with her? Libby's mom was excluded from participating in the first press conference by police and family. So she has a history of drug use, and actually quite a few people got upset at Tobe in this interview, because this woman interviewed Libby's mom, and she's like, I've totally been like shut out of evidence and this press conference. And it seems to be like either Libby's grandparents and the police are saying, like, because of her history, I guess Tobe said to this woman, are you familiar with her history? Like insinuating she has a history of drugs, which a lot of people say, I mean, just because she has an issue with substance abuse does not mean that she's not devastated by having her daughter murdered. So that was something that we, I guess, did not know previously. There are some discrepancies in the timeline of Rick Allen's PCA and this documentary. A lot of us have heard over the years that, I guess, Kelsey or Becky Patty looked at previous phone records, and there was a phone call, I guess, from Kelsey maybe to her boyfriend at 1:38. And so I guess the family previously said that the girls were dropped off at the trails at 1:38. And I think the PCA said it was 1:48 or 1:49. And people are like coming up with conspiracy theories about that discrepancy, which, yeah, it's a discrepancy, but I don't think it implicates the family, which there's a lot of videos going around now, like saying that the photo of Abby on the bridge is photoshopped. And no, that's all I have to say on that. So finally, about this documentary, there was an interview with one of the girls who passed Rick near Freedom Bridge. Her face and voice are concealed for her privacy. She said Rick was wearing a lot of jackets and a face covering when it was not that cold. So just like a few hours ago, I looked at my previous whatever files, and I saw that if you saw my first video, that first one that got me to this point right now, I took some screenshots of the Indiana Packers. They had a webcam because they were doing construction, and this camera would do snapshots every 12 minutes. And they had it attached to a thermometer or whatever. So at 1:30 or 1:28, when around the time Rick arrived, it was 41 degrees, which some people were saying, oh, it was so hot that not hot, but it was unseasonably warm that day. And this girl saying, I mean, obviously we see Abby was wearing a very light sweatshirt that was open. So the sun was out at whatever, 2 o'clock. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm sorry. Lost my train of thought. Now back to comments. Caricature contest. Did you see there was a connection between Richard Allen and Peggy and Bill Stevenson, the 74-year-old couple from Kentucky, possibly had to do with posing the victims and other things they won't say? I did a live chat about that, which apparently you missed because you were entering a caricature contest. There's no connection. It was kind of like fake news. Glad I could clear that up. Lala, maybe the lost key guy, also known as Orange Truck Guy in PB, hoofed it up to Ron Logan's after the unalivings to ask to search and told him what time to alibi for. That's why it was so spot on. They were buddies. But Lala, we've seen that Rick was on the bridge 2.5 minutes before Abby and Libby arrived. Rick said he did not see anybody. Rick did not see Ron Logan or PB. So I don't know. I just don't think that that PB guy was involved. It definitely was suspicious that he said he lost his keys in the woods and he went to help around 6:30, but I don't know. That was my ankle that cracked if you heard that noise. How much longer do I have? We're at 1:12. All right. My face looks so red. It's so stupid looking. All right, here we go. Sorry. Tom loves live chats. What the hell? Oh my God. I'll just be red and we'll deal with it. Oh my God. Why? I'm sweating. All right, here we go. Can I end this live chat right now? Sorry, I'm looking through your comments. Some people only tune in to watch me have these uncomfortable moments. Sorry. Shane says Rick ran to that conservation officer the second Libby's video was released. Well, we don't have that for certain, Shane. What was that? I was thinking something else. Yeah, it's like if Rick worked 1 block from Carroll County Sheriff, why did he not walk into the Carroll County Sheriff and tell them he was on the trails? Why did he talk to a conservation officer in front of a grocery store? I would do that. Like if I was a lawyer, I would say that to Rick, like end with him. Uh-oh, Rob is here. Has anyone double checked with the actual Anthony Schatz to make sure that he's not a killer? I mean, who knows? He's a police officer in Alaska. Sorry, I'm not frozen. I'm just reading stuff. Yeah, and also Lala says Rick, expecting a ride back to the CPS building, had to hoof it because keys were lost. So you think that Rick and Ron and Orange Truck Guy conspired to do this? And so since Orange Truck Guy didn't park there, I think until 6:30. And also, if Ron and Rick conspired to do this, and also PB, why would they not all park at Ron's house? And don't say his driveway has a horse trailer or something in it. Hi, Kate. You didn't miss much. At the start, I was not sweating, but now I am. And my face wasn't as red. Jeff Jones, remember, no one has been cleared, according to Dougie Carter. Tom is only 25 minutes behind in comments. I'm at 30 minutes right now. Ron Logan is bridge guy. What proof do you have, and how does Rick play into Ron being on the bridge? I disagree, Paul. I just don't think it's Ron, or yeah, Ron. It doesn't match his voice. It doesn't match his body or his clothes he's wearing that day. Lala says Rick was there longer than expected because they were frantically looking for lost keys. So you're saying that Rick was involved and you're just waiting for Orange Truck Guy to be implicated? And if so, why has it been Rick was arrested 7 months ago. Why is he not turning on any of these other people? Why would he be taking all the blame? Yeah, Betty, they need to explain, hopefully at the trial, if the defense says, you guys said in April 2019, you're looking for a 20-year-old that looks nothing like Rick, how does that add up? And hopefully the police will finally reveal what was the deal with that younger sketch. PB is still on the table, according to Carter. So I don't know. I mean, I know some people said that PB, Orange Truck Guy, was he the one who had a nervous breakdown, or he quit his job? They moved. I don't know. People were kind of coming up with all kind of speculation about that older guy who lives near the trails who stopped at Ron's house around 6:30 after on Facebook. I guess the family said, "Can you help us look for the girls? They were last seen on the bridge." Hi, Bossy. Durr says releasing a fake picture, young guy bridge sketch to lure Rick in is low key genius, but apparently it didn't work. And also against Rick, it's like at this 2019 press conference, they said, we're looking for the driver. My face is so red. Sorry. I hate doing this stuff. All right. So they said, we're looking for the driver of a vehicle parked at CPS between noon and 5. And Rick knew he was parked at CPS, even though he said, I parked at the old Farm Bureau building. There's no way that he was able to park somewhere else and then pass these 3 juvenile girls soon after 1:30. So why did Rick not go to the Carroll County Sheriff 1 block away in April 2019 and say, I talked to the conservation officer a few days after the murders and told him I was there. I just want to make sure you guys know that was me parked at the CPS building. So to me, that also indicates Rick's guilty. Hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Rojamno, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. It'll go to a new Taco Bell cup. And I have to go back to where I was. Hold on. Sorry to everybody if I miss your comment. It's nothing personal. You know that I get way behind. Where am I? Hold on. Oh my gosh. Sorry. All right, hold on. The Devil's Hop Yard never seen you here before. Was the witness who saw Bridge Guy, the girls, the 4 teens, and the CPS vehicle the driver of the dark SUV with decals? So the driver of the dark SUV with decals, which Kelsey said she saw a dark SUV with decals when she dropped the girls off. That's the woman who I call witness 4. She's the one who parked at Mears. It seems like she made a left onto the trail going towards High Bridge. I would assume this woman has done this like for exercise, and it seems like she would maybe parks at Mears, goes to the beginning of the bridge, then goes to Freedom Bridge, and then goes back to her car for like a 20 or so minute walk. I just burped. Oh my gosh, why are 286 people watching? So what was your question? Was the witness who saw Bridge Guy? So yes, witness 4 saw him on platform 1. She saw Abby and Libby halfway between Mears and the bridge. She did not. Oh yeah, she saw 4 juveniles as she was driving. So she's 3 juveniles past Rick. Rick admits passing these 3 girls soon after he was coming from Freedom Bridge, and these girls start walking home. This witness 4 is going towards Mears lot, but she has to go under like an overpass. And she said she saw 4 girls, but there's been speculation. Well, if there's only 3, how is she seeing 4? I don't know. I mean, she's like driving. Is she really specifically counting 1, 2, 3, 4, like as she's just driving along? I don't know. Hopefully that answered your question. Sorry, I'm a mess. Hi, JD Coop. I'm pretty sure law enforcement has a lot more footage, audio. So if they turned it over to the defense, if it showed someone other than him, it would have came out by now. What do I want to say about this? So we know that Doug Carter at one point said when there's an arrest, they're going to have to hire like 80 other law enforcement officers for some reason. I don't know what it was, but some people have speculated that as soon as the murders happened, either the FBI and other agencies went around to a bunch of businesses in the area and said, can we have your surveillance video? So police may, I think actually in maybe in the defense team recently for Rick Allen said, we have thousands of hours of video surveillance to review. I'm not sure if that's true. So I don't know if Doug Carter said they would need 80 law enforcement officers once somebody was arrested, like with Rick. Now that they know that Rick was driving a 2006 black Ford Focus, have they gone through all that older footage around town, either a few days before or after the murders, and seen, okay, was Rick driving or going into stores to possibly buy certain like items that were used in the murders or not? I'm really interested to see. Bridge Guy, which I guess I'm going to start saying Rick is Bridge Guy, because to me there's more reasons for it than against it. So if you saw my first video, I feel like there's like maybe a white rope hanging at the top of his jacket under his neck. So I'm curious to know, is that a rope is there evidence of that at the crime scene? Did he like tie their hands behind their backs and then maybe remove it after they were killed? And did he bring that rope home? Did he buy that rope recently at a local convenience store or something like that? I don't know. So what's your question? Sorry. Yeah, I don't know what other footage they can have. It'll be interesting to see if they found footage showing Rick's car leaving CPS. Did he drive through Delphi? Like he said he left at 3:30. Does a video show that his car is going through town at 4:15? Because in the PCA, it showed that the Hoosier Harvest Store picked up his car at 1:27, headed towards the trails, which is like the most out of the way direction from his house to the trail. So it's like, why did he not take the easier, quicker route from his house to the trails? What was he doing? I don't know. Hopefully we'll find out. And I'm actually working on a video where I'm trying to come up with evidence that police might be able to present, and one of them is car forensics. So I need to interview some experts in car forensics to see what they can find from Rick's computer from his car. hopefully I'll get that out and before Rick's next trial date. When is Hawaii? When my uncle dies, I stop talking to him. He's a jerk. Anyway. Who's Todd? The Devil's Hop Yard. Todd. The description of the clothes had varied from blue to black, from scarf to mask. Yes. Okay. So I do agree that these three juveniles in the PCA giving somewhat wildly different descriptions of the man they passed, it's somewhat concerning. However, you have to remember, Rick admitted to passing these three girls. He said he passed them. So whatever description they gave, even if they said he's wearing all black and we see Bridge Guy is wearing jeans and a dark blue shirt, I mean, these girls did not know that they were going to be taking a quiz a few days after to say, okay, what was this guy wearing? And also in my Rick Allen hour and a half deep dive, I showed a picture of the trails in winter. And even though the leaves are not on the branches, the shadows of the trees made that trail pretty dark. And if you look at the bridge guy's jacket in the shadow and from Libby's video, the part that's in the shadow, it does look very dark. So if Rick is passing these girls in a shadow and they're not really paying attention, it would seem like a darker blue jacket could be a black jacket. The jeans, yes, maybe that doesn't match up to like a dark black jeans, but I think people spend a little too much time like being concerned that these three juveniles gave different descriptions about the man that they passed, since Rick said, yes, it was me. Yes, I was wearing jeans. And Rick said he was wearing either a dark blue or black jacket. Charmaine, remember, peeps, Tom is a half hour behind in comments. Please keep that in mind when asking questions. Sorry, I'm doing my best. JD Coop, Kegan was a predator. Libby was not trying. I think you were saying, I don't know what you're saying. He was not trying to date Libby. He didn't care if she was annoying or not. Yeah, it seems to me like Kegan's main goal is just to get photos and videos for himself. Let's keep it at that. He only met apparently one girl in person. So if he's getting photos and videos from over 100 girls and not meeting them, it seems odd that he would say that he was going to meet Libby. And I think a lot of people kind of speculate too much because in that Kegan police interview, it's brought up by the police that Anthony Schatz, Kegan, told, I guess, Libby's friend, oh my God, what happened? I was supposed to meet her, but she did not show up. And people assume that Anthony Schatz said, I will meet you at the bridge the day of the murders. It was never specified which day or where Kegan was saying, I was supposed to meet her and she did not show up. And also, there was a second reference in Kegan's interview where the police kind of worded it differently. So I'm not sure if the friend kind of conveyed what she remembered Anthony Schatz telling her, or if they do have like some kind of screenshots or exact wording, what Kegan replied to this girl when he found out that Libby was missing. Sorry. Michael's workshop. Where the hell is Becky Patty? I don't know what you mean. The family is under a gag order for quite a few months, so they really can't be talking about the case. Oh, who the hell is her? I'm sorry. That was where is she? Sorry. Becky Patty is Libby's grandmother who had custody of Libby and Kelsey. Sorry, just looking for stuff. Stephanie said she met Libby's grandparents at CrimeCon. They are the sweetest. I got a Justice for Abby and Libby bracelet for making a donation to their memorial softball field. Yeah, in one of my previous videos, I gave some links to the softball field, and also there's a scholarship fund for Libby and a scholarship fund for Abby. So I donated 200 to the field and 100 each to their scholarships. Let's see. Hippie says Richard still had the clothes when cops searched his house. Yeah, this will be interesting to see if there's any kind of DNA evidence on his jacket. I mean, it's been 5.5 years of washing the jacket, which I don't wash my jacket every 5 years. No, I do wash it every 5 years. Anyway, I don't know. I would imagine if Rick truly is the killer and he got their blood on his jacket, that he immediately went home and soaked it. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait until the trial to find out. What else was I going to say, Richard? I really want to find out about this blue jacket because actually I'm going to show you guys something. Get me off the screen. Hold on. What am I doing? I'm going to, what am I doing? Hold on. Sorry. Before, or as soon as Rick was arrested, I went to his wife's Facebook page and I screen captured her page because I knew she was going to delete it. So what are we looking at here? We'll talk about this. So more evidence found at Rick's house. There's been a rumor, even like since he was first arrested, people said that police were, get me off of here. Hold on. Police were digging in Rick's backyard because they were looking for this dead cat here. This cat's name was Ozzy. And actually, I've been looking at this photo I've seen it a while, and then I realized it's laying on top of Rick. That's Rick. He's wearing a black and red winter jacket there, and that's his head on the right there. And you can see he's laying sideways on his bed, like I do sometimes from my making fun of the news. So there's speculation because in Ron Logan's search warrant, it said that they found, how did they word it? They found fibers and hairs at the crime scene. So people have speculated, was it an animal hair? Because we've heard that police took a sample of the hair belonging to the dog for Kegan and Tony. So it seems like there was some kind of animal hair found at the crime scene. Obviously, it's in the middle of the woods. So was there deer hair or other kind of animals that just seem to be around their bodies? So it'll be interesting to see if this cat was dug up in October 2022. And was their hair matching to the crime scene? I did do a little bit of research into like DNA for animals and stuff, but unfortunately I forget exactly what it said. Sorry, I'm just looking through stuff. Sorry, I'm just looking through your comments. Oompa Loompa. Michael is here for awkward red time. All right, well, I'm not going away. It's an hour and a half. I'll go maybe for another hour because I'm behind. All right. I want Mer saying I'm sweating. Oh my gosh. Here's a good comment. Hello. Kathleen Dudek wants to know, have you seen J-Lo's new movie? Hell no, I've never seen any J-Lo movie. I don't know her or her movies. You know what? All right, hold on. Oh my gosh, it's just menopause. All right. Are you and Aaron Stoner buddies? No, I heard that somebody posted so Aaron Stoner, sorry, I'll get back to Delphi in 1 minute. Let me get this off here. Let's go back to Red Tom. Some of you know that after I did my first Delphi video, I said, don't subscribe to my channel, and 1,600 people subscribed. And if people had listened to me, I would not be here right now doing this live chat. So I blame all of you who subscribed. So people said, will you do another deep dive? And I was like, okay, I guess. So I did the Missy Beavers case. Aaron Stoner, it's spelled Arrin, in case anybody wants to search YouTube. He's done a lot of YouTube videos, and he's about to release another one where he says he's found like the killer. And I don't know. That was my knee that cracked right then. No, somebody said that they posted a comment under one of his videos about me and my Missy video, and he deleted it. So I don't think we're buddies, but I'll watch his new video that's coming out. He said it's like over 2 hours long, but it's been delayed a long time. So I'm going to do a members only live chat. Once that comes out, I will review what he says. And also there's another like bunch of interviews with true crime broads have kind of named a woman who said that she killed Missy Beavers. So I'm going to show like that woman's face and her name, but I'm not going to do it publicly. That's why it's just going to be a members only one. So I'll post a community post once Aaron uploads his video. This is a good point. Hi, this account. It's a guess, but I hope the bullet shell had DNA that did not belong to the owner that close to the victims. That could be very possible and held back in the PCA. I think, do you mean you're hoping that the bullet had Rick's fingerprints on it and his DNA? I'm concerned that they did not process that crime scene very well. You would think if they saw, the rumor is that they were searching on the 14th, and PB, the orange truck guy, I guess used his cell phone. He saw some deer on the other side of the creek on the north side. I think he used his cell phone to kind of zoom in, and then he saw the girls' bodies. So there's no way that this crime scene should have been processed wrong, because they knew exactly where it was. It should have been done right, but hopefully, like you said, they properly picked up this bullet, and any kind of DNA would show a match to Rick. However, why would they not put that in the PCA, which was done like 2 weeks after they arrested Rick? So I think they could have done a test in that short amount of time. WL22, Rick called cops to report he'd been on the bridge. Cops redirected him to the conservation officer man in the grocery store parking lot. Okay. I've not seen, like, the police have not said anything really other than what was in the PCA. So a lot of the stuff, I'm not denying what you're saying, but a lot of the stuff is just rumors to this point. The Devil's Hop Yard, they don't know it was Rick's car. Hoosier Harvester cam showed a Ford Focus passing the cam at 127. No plate information. Well, I was thinking, it's like that 2016 Ford Focus is a very unique shape, and some people are upset that in the PCA they said that witnesses saw either a purple PT Cruiser, a small SUV, or a smart car parked at CPS. But I could see if somebody was driving by and they saw this Ford Focus unique shape, it could be confused with one of these other things, with these other type of vehicles. However, I was wondering, it's like if they had on this Hoosier Harvest store, like right after the murder, seeing a car at 127 headed towards CPS, was it driving so fast that they could not tell that it was a Ford Focus? Like, this one version is called an ST, which is kind of like a hatchback, like the back of it looks weird. So why could they, if they knew it was like a Ford Focus ST, which I think the FBI has like a team that kind of is very knowledgeable about all these different types of vehicles, that they look at this footage for all these different cases and say, okay, that car is a 2016 Ford Focus. Why did they not look through DMV records to say, okay, who in this Delphi area owns a new Ford Focus ST? I imagine it would show up as Rick Allen. I don't know that it's possible to search DMV with stuff like that, or if the car was just driving too fast to exactly see that it was a Ford Focus ST. Okay, I'm smiling because I never say smash that like button. It's fine if you don't like it. This account, someone said they tipped Richard Allen in. Not Richard, but another person. Who knows? Say what? Another Richard Allen? Yeah, Cece, in Ron's search warrant, it said, or actually, it wasn't his search warrant. His ex-wife posted on Facebook saying Ron would not go 3 feet out onto the bridge because he was afraid of heights. And also, he lived on that property for 53 years. And it's like, why, after all this time, would he just randomly go on the bridge and kill 2 girls and leave them on his property, and then immediately go to a fish store? And it said that the girls were staged and moved. So it's like, was he thinking he would go back later that night? And I don't know. It's just Ron Logan as bridge guy does not add up to me, and him as the murderer does not add up to me. I'm fine with people disagreeing. So Devil's Hop Yard says, I think Ron came across the scene the night of the 13th, panicked, and tried to alter the scene, my theory. I don't know that he would alter it, but we know that in the search warrant, it did say that he was, I guess, texting around maybe 8 and 10 o'clock that night. And they said it was around the area of the bodies. However, I think from what I've heard, I think there are 2 cell phone towers in the Delphi area. And I could have swore that you need 3 cell phone towers to like kind of make a triangle to find exactly where somebody is. So just him being at his house, I mean, he lived there. So it's like saying that he's in that area, it seems obvious that he's there on his property at night. So I don't know that they can say specifically he was down by the creek. I don't know. Hi, big fish, small pond. Nice to see you. Oh my gosh. Michael's Workshop. I want Rick to explain under interrogation why the receipts at CVS are so long. I think they've cut back on receipts recently. Hi, Grunge Truck. Kegan was connected to Rick through computer information, and maybe he gave Rick the information about Libby. I don't know. I just have not seen any police evidence yet showing that Rick and Kegan were involved or knew each other. Ultimate Ninja thinks Rick definitely acted alone. And hi, everyone. Hi, Ultimate Ninja. Hippie says the McCain brothers were there that day, too. Well, we know that they've been involved with the trails for a really long time because their mom was also. One of them is referred to as Flannel Shirt Guy. I've never heard that the other brother showed up that day. I don't know. I know a lot of people somehow speculated that Flannel Shirt Guy was possibly the killer, but it does not seem to be true at this point. Hi, the simulation. Rick's defense attorneys are way more competent than the police and prosecutors. Well, I think I and a lot of other people are definitely concerned about the competence of Nick McClelland. He's never done a murder case before. Doug Carter said whenever somebody is arrested and charged, like all of the resources of the Indiana State Police will be available. Why are they not having somebody who's more experienced take over this case? Because it seems like the Carroll County Council has had a few meetings recently where Nick is asking for more money. I think he asked for a clerical assistant. He asked for raises for himself and I think Shane Evans, who's also the assistant district attorney. I don't know. Speaking of the defense team, I have a few things to say about that. I mean, they do seem to be competent. However, I mean, that most recent thing where they put out Rick with that photo, they also included stuff saying like, it seems like they were totally exaggerating. I don't know exactly what they said, but there were definitely a few instances when I was reading that and they were like, Rick is not allowed to take a shower. He gets a shower like 1, 2, if any times a week. So it's like, what is it? Does he get 1 shower a week, 2 showers a week, or 0? I would assume like these prisons have specific days of the week or whatever, like you get 2 showers a week. I know a lot of you guys have been in prison. I'm kidding. So overall, I mean, his attorneys, yes, they're competent, but I think they really exaggerate a lot of stuff, which I guess is normal for lawyers trying to make their point or get something to happen. Also, I think part of the reason that they filed that was because they're sick of driving over 2 hours round trip to go see Rick. They want him moved to Cass County Jail, which is right across the street from the attorney, the public defender, Rosie, who is one of the 2 guys defending Rick. So, I don't know. Don't they wanna listen to YouTube live chats while they're driving? This account, did Kegan sell a device with Anthony's shots on it, maybe unintentionally? Remember the murder sheet interview, a guy who bought a tablet or iPad off of Kegan cheap? Is this a potential link of Kegan and Rick? I don't know. I mean, do you think there was some evidence that Kegan was, catfishing local girls? And if Kegan, he was using like the Emily Ann profile where he was pretending to be a girl, hoping that was a good way to get them to be more comfortable than talking to a guy. So I think it was kind of inferred in some kind of legal document that Kegan, as Emily Ann, would like start these chats with these other girls, and then find out that the other person was also another man, kind of catfishing. So, are you saying that did Kegan and was Rick also catfishing, and then revealed to Kegan, "Yeah, I'm a catfisher. Like, what can you send me in person?" I don't know. It seems like a lot of this CSAM stuff is done mostly online. I don't know. Hold on. Sorry, I'm going through stuff. Yeah, I totally agree, Grunstruck. Everything will be speculation until Rick's trial, which may not happen for 4 years. So I'm really looking forward to doing monthly chats for the next 4 years. JD Coop agreed. Sorry, I'm missing some of these comments. The tool marks on an unspent round is not that great of evidence. A good defense ballistics witness would have a field day with that. Well, there are other experts who say that it is decent. So I guess it's going to depend on the jury's viewpoint. But with all this other evidence with Rick is like he's not telling the truth about not seeing Abby and Libby and stuff, and I don't know. He says he's on a bench for an hour and 15 minutes and nobody sees him. I don't think so. The Devil's Hop Yard, the PCA timeline ignores the presence of other people on the trails at that time. Yes, they did not reference flannel shirt guy, arguing couple, or Cheyenne and her friend, or other people too. But they did say that Rick was not seen after 2:13, which is the time of Libby's video. So it kind of infers that these other people had walked the entire trail and nobody saw Homeboy sitting on one of the 5 benches that he said he was sitting on. Kennedy says, nothing about either sketch was genius. They were a huge mess that hurt the case. I mean, it definitely didn't help. Hippie says, PB, orange truck guy, would not be so suspicious if his alibi had not been unalived. So apparently he gave, or his alibi was a police officer who ended up committing suicide. And I mean, people came up with some conspiracy theories about that cop was involved. But I mean, as of now, only Rick has been arrested. This is a good point. Kelly says it will be interesting to see if any witnesses from the trails were customers of CVS Pharmacy. So, did any of these three girls go to the local CVS? I mean, the CVS is very large. So, I mean, I say that because it's not just a place to get medicine. They have a lot of other stuff, and I assume most people in town go to that CVS where Rick worked for another 5.5 years after the murder. So, did any of these three juveniles go in there and say, that kind of looks like the guy who I saw? Although these juveniles said that his mouth was covered with either a scarf or something else. He was wearing a hoodie, which is another point that I wanted to bring up. I mean, people say that Rick is possibly as short as 5'3" or 5'4", and one of these girls said she was 5'7", I think, or 5'6", and that Rick was about her height. And one of these other girls said he was maybe a little bit taller. However, if he's wearing a hood, it's not going to show his actual top of his head. So somebody might falsely assume that he's like 5'7" or 8", when in actuality he's like 5'4". And also, Kelly, I don't know if witness 4 saw Rick's face when she went to see him at platform 1. I'm pretty sure she said he was white. So she obviously saw his skin, but I think the way that the trails were at that time with like those front gates, she could have like kind of walked on the trail and seen that there was a guy on platform 1 and said, I don't normally even walk onto the bridge, so I'm going to turn around so this guy doesn't see me. But she saw enough to see that he was wearing like a jeans and a dark jacket. Marshall, do you have any details that you have chosen to not share? If yes, why? No, I said before. I said before, like I have no inside sources. It seems like a lot of other YouTube content creators for Delphi have like local people who give them information, and nobody likes me. So no, the only thing I have is like I have the unredacted Kegan interview, but it just like it says like these juveniles' names. It's no information that's really secretive or whatever. And for those of you who missed this past week, Aspen Connor, who was here before, he released on his YouTube page um, some like Ron Logan documents, and it said that from the crime scene, those two pieces of clothing that were missing were panties and a sock. So for those of you who has seen that previously, where it was redacted, what was missing from the crime scene were panties and a sock. And somebody yesterday in our member live chat said, well, how do you know that one of the girls, I mean, this isn't funny, but was not wearing underwear? So, I mean, I would assume, you're not supposed to assume, but let's just leave it at that. Sorry. And let me just go back to this one thing. So there were pictures that were released in the past few months that were supposedly in Deer Creek, 3 articles of clothing. And I'm assuming that the killer felt like they got their DNA or fingerprints on these 3 items of clothing. So after it was obvious that the girls were dead, the killer took these 3 items down to the creek and kind of like pushed them under the water and then let the 3 items go at the same time, hoping that either they would float far enough away that they would never be found, or that just being in the water would remove their DNA or fingerprints. So it'll be interesting to see if those items truly were from the crime scene and if they match up with Rick's DNA now that they have Rick's DNA. Hippie says Rick's wife said yes, he still had that Carhartt jacket, which I don't know. It seems like a lot of the Carhartt jackets have a more thick material. And if we've all seen the bridge guy, you can see like an outline in his front jacket, which might be a gun or something else. But some of those like construction guy Carhartt jackets, if something's in the front jacket, you cannot see that level of detail with the thicker material. So I'm interested to see like if he did in fact have like a windbreaker type dark jacket. Who's calling me Todd? Todd, how many others were wearing the same jacket and jeans in Delphi that day? I don't know if you're talking about me, but yeah, some people are saying, well, maybe it was a different guy on the bridge. It just seems so unlikely to me that there was this other guy, the same height and build as Rick, wearing essentially the same thing that Rick and the bridge guy are wearing. I don't know. I guess we'll find out, but it doesn't really add up to me that bridge guy could be somebody else, even though I think the video face does not really match up to Rick. But I do think his body matches up. Good point, Charmaine. I think it's possible Rick went and bought an identical jacket so he could burn or get rid of the one he wore during the crime. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whatever testing they did in October 2022 to see if that actually had any DNA evidence. This is a good point. Lala, so Doug Carter, I think it was, I don't know if it was before or after Rick's arrest, but he did mention there were a lot of tentacles in this case. So if it's just Rick who's involved, why would they say there's a lot of tentacles? And Doug has said in his haikus and his poems that it's a very interesting story and it's like very complicated that he hopes to tell one day. So come on my live chat, Doug, or don't. Charmaine says it's highly unlikely Rick would have kept a blood-soaked jacket. I agree. That seems weird. However, Charmaine, if you were paying attention in yesterday's member live chat, I would say most families have like a coat hack or a coat, hanger or rack by their back door that has like their coat. So I showed before Rick had a black and red jacket for winter. So his wife would know that he has a blue jacket that matched bridge guy. So if he was all muddy and bloody, is he really going to get rid of the jacket and have his wife be like, what happened to your blue jacket that you've had for 5 years? There's nothing wrong with it. Like, what kind of explanation is he going to come up with? I don't know. I just can't believe that his wife did not recognize his body, his voice, his clothes. I don't know. Grunge truck. I bet law enforcement is looking at every unsolved murder in that area to see if Rick is connected. Well, they have his DNA, so it would have shown up in any kind of unsolved, any kind of case. So at what point would they charge him in these other cases where his DNA matches up? Because it's been 7 months that they've had his DNA. Sorry, I'm just looking through comments. Oh, so there is somebody in chat named Todd. Sorry. Hi, Todd. To me, Todd, do you want to host this live chat? To me, the evidence in the PCA is already insurmountable. Plus, there's possibly likely even more evidence, there better be, like hairs, fibers, as was listed in Ron's warrant, blood, etc. Yeah. Hopefully I'll have this video where I list a bunch of evidence that could be used. And then I plan to ask you guys to put in the comments what other evidence that I did not include that you guys think could be presented at trial. Hopefully in the next like 3 weeks or so, I'll get that done. I don't know. Devil's Hop Yard. What do you think the defense's strategy will be in attacking this case? Will it be Ron Logan, the young guy sketch? Yeah, actually, I've heard that the defense team is contacting YouTube content creators who believe in Ron Logan as the killer, I think. I don't know. I don't have, that's just a rumor that I heard. So that seems kind of whack that the defense is like, can you tell us about Ron Logan being the killer? I don't know. I don't know what their strategy will be because I've said if I'm on the jury, I don't know if you guys have seen my Rick deep dive where I created the spreadsheet showing and some photos. It seems impossible to me that Rick is telling the truth. So I would definitely vote guilty based on what I've seen the limited information that I've seen in the PCA, because I just don't think he's telling the truth. And they only need to prove that he is Bridge Guy and told them to go down the hill. They do not need to prove that that was his bullet at the crime scene. They just need to prove that he said, go down the hill, which is kidnapping, which led to their murder. Big fish, small pond. I saw Ron Logan, that Sandifer guy, and at least 3 others in the footage from the search on the news. People have speculated, was Rick in the search party on the night of the 13th? I've never seen any confirmation about that, and I would think he would have been so freaked out that he would not go there. I still haven't gotten to my PowerPoint with all my other stuff about Rick. Oh my gosh. We're exactly at 2 hours. 349. The number's going up. Go watch funny cat videos so I can go take a nap. Taco Bell time. I hope you guys find this interesting. I know some of you like live chats instead of message boards. Okay, so somebody disagrees with me. Snarky Sass Angel. That is not a rope in Bridge Guy's jacket. It's the glare of light that was on the montage that was made by the perpetrators, and there are many images embedded within. That's why the Bridge Guy is not clear. Here we go. So there's a YouTube page called Eye of Apophis, which some of you guys know I come up with nicknames, and my nickname is Eye Roll of Apophis because, sorry, Snarky Angel, but I totally disagree. People are saying that the photo of Abby on the bridge is photoshopped. And from what I've seen about these very few videos that I've looked at, because they're whack as hell, in my opinion, they're saying that like Libby's family, this is what I've got from the videos I've seen. I might be wrong. They seem to be saying that Libby's family killed Libby and Abby in Libby's bedroom. And then they had this big conspiracy to cover it up, including making a fake photoshopped photo of Abby on the bridge. I mean, my face is just saying like, WTF. I totally disagree with it. These channels, they come up with these names. They don't show their real name. They don't show their face. It's like, would you stand in front of Becky Patty and accuse her of killing Abby and Libby? If not, why are you doing it on YouTube? I'm totally fine with people like investigating and going down rabbit holes and stuff, but in this case, saying that that photo is photoshopped and that the Patty family killed these 2 girls, it's stupid. Sorry, not sorry. Next. Todd, we can establish Bridge Guy is 5'4" because we know Abby is 5'4". We can use that to determine the width of the bridge between the rail curbs, then apply that method of measurement to images of Bridge Guy. He's 5'4". Okay. I mean, somebody, I think some guy named Steve who has a YouTube channel, since Rick Allen has entered the Carroll County Courthouse, and it's been on photos and video, this guy took a tape measure to the Carroll County Courthouse and kind of measured up to the point where Rick was standing, and he said that it came up to about 5'3" or 5'4". Sorry, I'm just looking through comments. Hi, Boost Mobile. Nice to see you. That was over a half hour ago. I'm not sure if you're still here. Kennedy, how does a purple PT Cruiser or smart car resemble Rick's Ford Focus? They're different vehicle descriptions. Well, these people are driving on the Hoosier Heartland Highway at like 50 miles an hour, or on Route 300 at like 35 to 40 miles an hour. They're not like studying exactly what kind of car this is. And Rick backed into the CPS building, which I've shown previously. There's like a little bit of weeds kind of on that right side near the building. So his car could have been partially covered. And in my opinion, Kennedy, I think that somebody could kind of take a quick look at that car and be like, oh, I thought I saw a purple PT Cruiser. Because if you've seen that Ford Focus ST, it's the 2016, you can Google that and you'll see how it looks kind of odd. Sorry, I'm looking for stuff. Yeah, I know. Some people say that Kegan's grandmother had a purple PT Cruiser, and that means that Kegan or his dad was parked at CPS. But as far as I've seen, there was only one car parked at CPS that at the time of the murders. And like I said before, Rick knew that he was parked there. I don't care that he said he thought it was called the old Farm Bureau building. He knew he was parked there. So in April 2019, why did he not answer the police when they said, we're looking for the driver of the car that was parked there between noon and 5? And Rick knew he was there from at least 1:30 to 3:30. Devil's Hop Yard. Why do you think Rick Allen did this? Doesn't seem to have a history of stalking, assault. Where did this impulse come from? Theories. I honestly have no clue. I mean, he was married for 25 years. He had a daughter who was 22 years old at the time. He worked at CVS for quite a long time at Peru and in Delphi. I think he was in the Delphi CVS for, I don't like to put out false information, but maybe about 6 months prior. I don't know. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry. I don't know. It seems to me that Bridge Guy has so much stuff in his jacket that he was there. Like something was planned. And it's like, why? Did he somehow interact with these girls online and he was afraid if he was maybe catfishing them and they found out his true identity? Did he feel like he had to kill them because they would maybe see him at the local CVS? However, against that is they have access to Libby's phone, and it did not seem to show any relation to any profiles that Rick was behind. I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever get the answer to that. Hi, Maureen. You're not late. You're right on time. Oh my God. I have to highlight this. Michael says, only criminals go to CrimeCon? Poor Stephanie. It's a joke. I have not been to CrimeCon. I've not been invited yet to host a panel on deep dives. Yes. Hippie. Law enforcement said in Rick's PCA that they think Rick is the guy on the bridge. What's this? Do we know what Melissa Breedlove found near the crime scene weeks after the murders? I'm unfamiliar with that name and what you're talking about. Hopefully in an hour or so, I'll get to your comment saying what you're talking about. Lala says, look for blood on the seatbelt strap of Rick's car. No one washes seatbelt straps. That's a good point, Lala. You redeemed yourself after your Ron Logan conspiracy theories. I'm kidding. Don't get mad. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. So Stephanie was mentioning the pic, actually, is a video of Rick in the car with a blue jacket on. So a lot of us have seen from Rick's wife's Facebook around Thanksgiving before the murders, like what's that, two or 3 months before the murders, she snuck up on Rick sitting in their passenger seat of their car, and he's wearing like a dark blue jacket, but it's kind of difficult to see if it's like the same material or the same jacket as Bridge Guy. Somebody else was able to get another video from Kathy Hilton. Oh my gosh. Kathy Allen's Facebook. I think it was also around Thanksgiving time where Rick and maybe some family members were in their backyard, and the person is kind of filming from their back door, and Rick is like right in front of the steps, and he's wearing a darker blue jacket, but it's too blurry also to see exactly if it's the bridge guy jacket. Oh my gosh. Michael says anyone who sleeps, hold on. Anyone who sleeps in a bed with a huge headboard with wrought iron like that is definitely suspicious. Oh my gosh. Where's Billy Wolf with his usual jokes? Billy Wolf was in our member chat yesterday. I guess he has better things to do today. Oh my gosh. Let me just. So Shane is saying that cat should have starred in Pet Cemetery. Rick's wife works at a vet's office. She's not a vet. I don't know what she does or did there. I don't know if she had to quit. So some people are speculating, could the pet hair have been from some kind of pet hair that his wife brought home, then transferred to his jeans or his jacket that ended up at the crime scene? Also, I mentioned yesterday in my members chat, Libby's aunt Tara, I guess, had gotten a puppy. And the morning of the murders, Libby was petting that puppy, because I saw an interview with Becky Patty where she mentioned that fact that I had not known about, which I'm sure that the family told police about that. So I don't know. I would imagine that they checked that family dog's hair to the crime scene. It did not match. That's why they continued to look for the Kline's dog's hair. Oh my gosh. Hi, love to hunt. Oh my God, I'm not doing that. All right, I'll show you what I'm laughing at since it's over 30 minutes long. JD, what if he was walking his cat in the woods and the real killer asked him to pet his cat, getting some of his hair to throw the police off the trail? JD, seriously? Grunge Truck doesn't know why people don't burn their evidence or at least try to bury it or something. Well, we've heard this rumor that on October 13th that the police did dig up something like a small area in Rick's backyard, which who knows what they're looking for. Hopefully we'll find out one day. However, some people were saying, like, did Rick take the panties and sock as a souvenir from the crime scene? I don't know. It's like, why would you bring that home? He lived with his wife and his daughter, who I guess got married later in 2017. But unless he hid it, he had a shed in his backyard. So, I mean, I just don't know why someone would. I mean, I don't know why someone would do this, but why would you take panties and a sock matching the DNA of the person you killed and put it somewhere on your property and keep it 5.5 years later? Which, I mean, I'm hoping, if it's true, that he did do that so they have more evidence against Rick, but I don't know, it seems crazy to me. Todd says, exactly, why would Rick admit to wearing the same clothes when he did not need to? He's obviously not extremely intelligent. He presumably thought witnesses may have ID'd his clothes. So, yes, people say, why would Rick come forward? It's because he knew that he passed these three girls and he works at the local CVS. So I think it would look bad for him to have not come forward at all. I mean, he would have looked guilty if, like, one of these girls said, oh, yeah, I recognize that guy as the guy who works at CVS. He did not know if those girls knew that he worked at CVS, but I'm saying the fact that he did not know whether they had seen him before or they would see him again soon after, he would look really guilty if he did not come forward. Bossy, if Rick is muddy and bloody guy who is walking on Route 300 at 357, according to that one witness, then it's very possible it's a family pet hair. It could have been found because blood is sticky and it fell from his clothing. Lisa says, did any of the family animals go missing over the years? I don't know exactly what you're getting at, but that one cat that I was showing, it did die, and it's not certain that that cat was buried in their backyard. I would think. I mean, I don't know. Do a lot of pets get buried in people's yards? I know my parents and I. My parents had chickens and sheep and goats, and we would bury them all on our property. And Shane, talking about Pet Cemetery in college, I once did this story about something that happened on my parents' farm and how we bury all these animals. And somebody said it was like Pet Cemetery. Um, but if Kathy, his wife, has access to the vet and people cremate cats, would she have just cremated their cat instead of burying it at their house? I don't know. This is just what I'm thinking right now. Don't join my Patreon. I don't have a Patreon. Oh yeah, you're saying that because I said don't hit that like button. Yeah, Missy Beaver's case is over 7 years old, and there's really no updates, unfortunately. What's that? Oh. Lala, if Abby and Libby were moved and staged, most likely just a few feet, and the bullet was found next to them, why would Rick cycle the gun on two dead girls? It was in the gun because it had markings. Well, some people say that as he approached the girls on the bridge, some people have said you can hear like a gun clicking on the 43-second video, which we have not heard that yet. So he may have like pulled back the gun to scare them and get them to go down the hill. So at that point, that gun would have loaded, or sorry, the bullet would have loaded in the gun. And then he goes over to the other side of the creek. I mean, he may have done the same thing again. I don't know, Lala. Sorry. Do I need a chiropractor? Let me sit up. That's a good reminder to sit up. 368. There's more and more people watching. Oh my gosh, stop. Sorry, I'm just looking for. I need to go back to my PowerPoint. Yeah, let me do that right now. Let me get myself off the screen. I'm going to show the updates, the latest updates in the past month from Rick and stuff like that. Hold on. Okay, so in the past month or so, April 20th, the prosecution filed some subpoenas for CVS Pharmacy, which was Rick's employer, and also for Westville Correctional, where Rick is at. Some people have speculated maybe this is related to Rick's mental health history, because I would think that law enforcement, or at least I would hope, that since they arrested Rick back in October, they would have asked CVS, was Rick supposed to be off on this Monday the 13th, or did he request off either last minute, or did he call in sick? So I don't know why they would be requesting this information from CVS 7 months or 6 months after they arrested Rick. It seems more like maybe they're looking for some kind of mental health records, both from Westville and CVS, since Rick's defense team seems to be saying that his mental health is bad since he's been at Westville Correctional, which, I mean, he seems to be fine the first 4 or 5 months, and they said in the past month or so, he's been going downhill, so to speak. I didn't mean to say that, down the hill. Anyway, April 28th, there was correspondence to and from the court filed, and it said on this My Case, which has the court filings, it says it was from a Westville Correctional inmate letter. So people are wondering, was it from Rick or another inmate? In Rick's defense team, where they put out that photo saying Rick is like a prisoner of war, it did mention that some other inmates are keeping like guard outside of Rick's cell. So I'm wondering, did Rick talk to one of these inmates and say either some information that was showing that he's guilty, or some other kind of information that this inmate felt that the court needed to know? I don't know. Or was it just Rick writing some kind of letter to the court? we know that he wrote that one letter quite a while ago where he put himself at the mercy of the court asking for a public defender because he said he does not have enough money to afford a lawyer. And in that first letter, he just said, I throw myself at the mercy of the court. He never said, I'm innocent of these charges. May 3rd, the prosecution filed some subpoenas and summons. And then in response to that, Rick's defense team has submitted a request to prohibit public access to a court record, motions to quash those 4 subpoenas for CVS and Westville Correctional, which is like, why is the defense team trying to prevent the prosecution from getting this information if they're saying that Rick is so innocent? So if he's innocent, why do you care that the defense or the prosecution gets access to this information? Motion to reconsider and request for due process hearing. So was this them kind of referencing that when Rick was first arrested, he was transferred to the Westville Correctional Facility without a hearing? So it seems to me like at this point, and actually, right, I'll just do this other thing. The May 17th, Rick's defense team did a verified motion for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction, which some people are saying, how is he, Rick, trying to get a restraining order against a person? And some people online who are more knowledgeable than me say you can get a restraining order like against the court. It seems like Rick's defense team kind of wants to figure out getting Rick out of Westville before they deal with all this other stuff and proceed with the case. So what was I going to say? I really feel like when Rick was first arrested that law enforcement said, we can't just keep this guy in the county jail and let him interact with other people who are in the jail. He's going to get hurt. I mean, Rick is like probably the most notorious prisoner in, I know he's not a prisoner. Apparently you're in jail until you get convicted of something and then you go to prison. But it seems like they did move him to Westville because that facility, not just his cell is safe, but the facility itself is a lot safer than somebody getting access to the Carroll County Jail. So, I mean, I think they acted in good faith. Yes, does it seem like some of the accusations that the defense team has made in that filing like a month ago, are they somewhat concerning? Yes, but I also think that they were kind of exaggerating just to help get him closer to the other lawyer's office right across the street in Cass County. So yeah, the next court date for Rick is June 15th is his bail hearing, which I thought that they said that in Indiana, if you're charged with murder, you're not allowed to get bail. And when this first happened, one of my subscribers posted the day that Rick was arrested that their spouse has access to my case or whatever, or court filings. And it did show that Rick's bail or bond was initially $20 million. I guess it was maybe 10 million per murder charge. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. One good thing about this bail hearing is supposedly the prosecution needs to present even more evidence than was in the PCA. So for those of us who are concerned about the lack of evidence in the PCA, hopefully on June 15th and the 16th, if they have to go overtime, we will find out some more evidence. And also they're supposed to give the trial date, which with all this court stuff, I'm sure that it's going to get delayed at some point. And I already went through the documentary updates. Let's see. Devil's Hop Yard. The fact that Melissa Breedlove found evidence dropped by the killer around February 27th seems to indicate to me that the crime scene breakdown had a breakdown. Yeah, I'll have to look into that woman and see more information about that because I think I heard something about that. Well, I heard that a few days after that the law enforcement went back to the crime scene, but I think it was sooner than the 27th. And how do you know that the evidence was dropped by the killer? And if so, why was it not mentioned in the PCA? Those are just my thoughts reading that. Tom brings out the dark humor in all of us. No idea why. We're at 2:24. I'll go to 3 hours and then I'm going bye-bye. Thank you all for joining, I guess. Lilith says he does not have the same car as he did that day. So Lilith said that Rick got rear-ended. No, not in jail. He got rear-ended his car she said in 2018, and it was totaled. So that would definitely cause some problems trying to find DNA or doing a forensics report on the computer for the car. But I mean, we know that police towed Rick's car in October of 2022. So I don't know. Did police know that his car was totaled in October 2026? Or sorry, October 2022? Oh my gosh. Anyone with a purple PT Cruiser is definitely suspicious. Or the headboard. Sorry, I'm just looking through comments. Robin says, Abby had her hands in her pockets also and was never on the bridge before. So I think that's Abby's mom said that she told her she was not allowed to go on the bridge. However, we all know that kids are going to do things that their parents tell them not to. I don't know who else kind of corroborated that Abby had never been on the bridge before. I would think, even if she was afraid of heights, it's possible that she had walked across the bridge before, but it's not really like relevant to the case, I don't think. Jane says, Orange truck guy saw the deer on the other side of the creek, so nobody had searched the other side until then. It does seem kind of odd to me that there were people searching all night and they supposedly did not find them until 12:15 on the 14th. Although some people speculate that they found them earlier because in that helicopter footage, you can see like a flash going off, which could possibly be a crime scene photographer taking photos. And it seems like a few things where I've seen what is supposedly the crime scene. It's very close to the creek, which is surprising to me because I think from that area you can see the high bridge. I don't know. I'm going to have to look at some other photos and videos, but I'm just curious why Cheyenne and arguing couple, if they cross the bridge and there's no leaves on the trees, why would they not see Rick or other people walking in the crime scene area or going down to the creek to release these items of clothing? I don't know. I'm not coming up with any conspiracy theories, but it's just something I thought of. Sorry, I'm just looking for new comments that we haven't talked about. Sorry. Simon says someone knew of Rick Allen in 2019, but without evidence of the crime. I mean, some people are saying that they think that police knew about Rick since the beginning. And I'm not talking about just the conservation officer. I really believe that like the top people in charge of this investigation had no clue about this Rick interview until like September or October of last year. Digital says you can triangulate with 2 towers and a satellite. All right, thank you. Surfering ass guy. It would be interesting to know if there were any home surveillance cameras in the Monon High Bridge area that law enforcement investigated. So I think like the Ring home doorbell cameras were not as popular in 2017 as they are now. But I would hope and imagine that they did go around to all these local homes. Because we know that they didn't go to Hoosier Harvest Store, but that camera is kind of obvious from the road. Hi, Debbie. Is it officially stated that the river search, the Wabash River search, was about the Delphi case? It's a big chance that's the reason Rick was caught right after the search. I don't think that law enforcement has said it, but I remember some of the local TV stations who do have inside knowledge with law enforcement have said that they were told it was related to the Delphi murders. However, like I said, I mean, it went on for 5 weeks, and it's possible that they did not find anything related to Delphi. They decided to go back to the beginning of the case for Delphi, and they found this Rick interview in late September, early October, and then that's how they raided Rick's house, October 13th. Charmaine, you're still here? If Rick acted alone, why is he charged with felony murder? I still say law enforcement has other evidence to show someone else was involved, but who? It's frustrating. I think people have said that proving that Rick is the guy on the bridge who said, go down the hill, is easier than proving that Rick was the one who actually like stabbed them and killed them. I mean, hopefully they'll be able to prove that Rick is bridge guy with some like more evidence and witnesses saying, yes, that is Rick's voice saying, go down the hill. Lala, they should take that reward money and give it to the prosecution to get this guy. That's a good idea. You should be on the Carroll County Council. Yeah, I know. So this Carroll County Council has had some monthly meetings. I think it's the third Thursday of every month. And some people have videotaped these council meetings, but I have not seen any update from the past 2 months. Does anybody know if there was any resolution to the request to give more money to the prosecution? I'm 45 minutes behind on comments. Stephanie says that's normal in prison, though, 2 showers a week. But I'm pretty sure in Rick's defense letter, they were kind of insinuating that he gets 0. Oh my gosh, I'm not highlighting that one. Marshall says every big case now is scary because of either the massive amount of mistakes made, protocols ignored, quick conclusions that leave too many questions unanswered, and now getting called out big time. Yeah, I agree. Shane thinks that the Emily Ann account is massive in all this. Somebody yesterday in my member chat said they thought that Rick was behind the Emily Ann account, but Kegan admitted it was him. And like I said before about the Anthony Shots account, police would have been able to say or show through like internet records who was accessing that account. So did it only show the Kline's house or did it also show Rick's house or other people? I would think if it showed other people that they would have been arrested for at least CSAM. And why would Kegan not say, okay, somebody else was accessing Anthony Shots or Emily Ann? Sorry. Oh my gosh. Wait. Boo to 4 years of more chats with me. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Big fish, small pond. Was the entire law enforcement team there for the search and arrest or just Carroll County? This actually makes me think of something else. So I guess you're talking about the October 13th raid of Rick's house. And I was wondering which agencies were there. I did look up online because I was trying to figure out, do they have better samples of Rick's voice other than him on the ski lift from his wife's Facebook page? So I was looking to see, do they have body cameras in Indiana? And from what I saw, Indiana State Police do have body cameras. So don't you guys want to see what his facial reaction and his wife was when they showed up and searched their house for 10 hours? Hi, Jane. Yes, Rick said he sat on a bench for essentially an hour and 15 minutes. If he said he left around 3:30, if you give him the fact that it might take 15 minutes to walk from like the Mears lot bench, that means like for an hour and 15 minutes, he sat on a bench. Like, why is a 44-year-old guy hanging out on these trails for 2 hours on a Monday afternoon from 1:30 to 3:30? Doesn't he have other things to do? And it's like, why did he drive there when he could have walked to the trails? I think if you look on Google Maps and you like draw a straight line from his house to the trails, it's only like, I think, a mile and a half. Obviously, he couldn't just walk through everybody's yard, but I don't know. Rick was watching fish 70 feet down. Well, some people give a side eye to that theory that he was watching fish on the bridge. However, I have seen people say online that you can see larger fish in the creek. And I think in the helicopter footage from the 14th, if you look at the searchers, you can see like some kind of waves, and there might be some larger fish that were coming to the surface. So, yes, he may have been looking at fish on platform one, but the rest of his story really doesn't add up to me. Oh my gosh. I wonder how Rick checks his stock from jail. Maybe that's why he's so depressed. Somebody in my member chat said, so Rick said he was on the trail, but he gave the excuse that he was looking at a stock ticker on his phone, kind of insinuating, oh, I was busy looking at my phone, so I don't know if I passed anybody. Eye roll. That trail is so narrow. If you pass somebody, you would know it. So this person in my chat said, can they look at Rick's phone if he still has it like 5.5 years later? I hope that he did and he didn't upgrade to the latest iPhone. But if they still have Rick's phone, can they see if he turned his phone off between 1:30 and even like 4 or 4:15? So it's like, homeboy, you said you were looking at stocks, but this data report from your cell phone shows that your phone was off at whatever 1:30 or 1 o'clock to 4:30 if he was trying to conceal his location from any kind of future evidence. I don't know. Where was I going with that one? Yes, Betsy, I hate doing these lives, but whatever. When they're done, I mean, they go okay. I do appreciate hearing all of your different theories. I was going to say crazy conspiracy theories, but no, I really do appreciate hearing other people's perspective. Does that seem authentic? You want to hear something funny? All right. I'm going to tell a quick story. So it's about determining height. So when I searched or was looking into the Missy Beavers case, this story is ridiculous. Um, the Missy Beavers case, she was an instructor of this class that would start as early as 4:30 a.m. and she would usually do it outside in the parking lot of a church. And so she showed up at 4:18 a.m. and she was soon killed with a hammer and a gun. And so police looked at the surveillance footage inside this church, and it showed like a half hour before this person in like SWAT police gear and a helmet was walking around going into like pretty much every room, and people were trying to figure out, is this a female or a male and how tall is this person? And so I found this website that was kind of like an engineering or construction website where you could upload a photo, and if you know the height of one object, you can kind of, so if I know that this height of this door that the killer opened in the church is 8 feet, and I want to find out how tall this person is, I uploaded the photo, I dragged from the top of the door to the bottom, and I said, this is 88 feet. So then I next dragged from the bottom of the person's boots to their helmet to try and figure out how tall they were. And so I tested this at my work where I have access to our lobby security cams, and we have a glass door. So I did, when I was supposed to be working, don't tell my boss, I was standing on both sides of this glass door just to be captured on the security cameras. And I went back and I uploaded a screenshot to this website to see if it would match my height, which it was fairly close. And then I looked on the security cam and I saw that our building maintenance guy was standing in front of the same door. So I was like, how tall is he? Because I would have guessed that he was 5'5". So when I measured it, it showed that he was 5 foot exactly. And I was like, there's no way he's only 5 foot. So the next thing I did, I went in our supply closet and I got a tape measure. And where he walked in on the door, there was a sign and he came up to the top of the sign. So I got my tape measure when I was supposed to be working and I measured it from the bottom of the floor to the top of this paper. And it said it was exactly 5 foot. So what have we learned from this? Like, I need to get back to work. Because like my joke is my coworkers saw me walking around the office with a tape measure and they're like, why is Tom walking around with a tape measure? And somebody's like, oh, I'm sure he's just measuring a Mexican maintenance man. Anyway, that was my little diversion for today. Jane, what time did Rick's phone arrive at the bench? I don't know that they can see for sure exactly his exact GPS location. Obviously, for Ron Logan's, they did come up with information saying at 2:09, Ron was near the bridge. So I don't know, Jane. Time will tell, hopefully. Oh, God. How much more time? 19 more minutes. I'm stopping at exactly 3 hours. Simon says Rick checking a stock ticker is possibly him checking Bitcoin's value. Bitcoin broke $1,000 around that time. So I did search. If you saw my Rick Allen deep dive, I searched, was there anything special happening on the stock market on February 13th, 2017? And from what I saw, there was nothing really to show that. I mean, I don't know. Why is Rick so interested in stock tickers? I mean, I would assume that he works at CVS, so I'm sure they have some kind of 401k plan, but can Rick or the defense or the prosecution show some kind of evidence that Rick was previously into or whatever, interested in the stock ticker or stocks or whatever? I know my face keeps changing colors. That's why I'm getting distracted. What are we doing here? Oh, God. Marshall says everyone wears that get up there. Well, I think you're talking about everybody wears what Bridge Guy was wearing, but in my deep dive of the Klines, I showed that Tony wears shorts and shirts that have writing on them. That's why I said one of the reasons why I did not think he was a Bridge Guy. And also Kegokio really doesn't wear what Bridge Guy was wearing. So I know a lot of people say every man in Indiana wears what Bridge Guy was wearing, but that's not true. Oh my gosh. Ultimate Ninja looks like Rick was wearing an Eddie Bauer style windbreaker. I think I've seen somebody post an Eddie Bauer windbreaker, and I'm not sure that it totally matched up because it looks to me like instead of like a traditional zipper, it seems like, I don't know. Do you guys think it like looks like part of the zipper is, I don't know, broken and like kind of looks like something weird is kind of holding it together? I'm not sure. Oh my gosh. Marshall, wonder what Rick's wife said about his behavior around the time. Yeah, I want to hear what she has to say. She showed up at 2 of his court dates, so she seems to be supporting him and also his mom. I don't know that they've actually watched my Rick Allen deep dive. It's like, watch my deep dive on Rick, and how can you say that he seems to be totally innocent? Thank you, caricature contest. You convinced me it's Rick Allen with more detail than I could ever muster. Best comment ever was when you wished he'd fallen off the bridge. No, I think I said I wish I could have pushed him off. I said, do you guys wish you could have pushed Bridge Guy off of the bridge before he got to the girls? But thank you. Love to hunt. All I know for a fact is that Rick was completely overdressed for that day. Yeah, well, why is he why is he wearing a hoodie and a face covering? The face covering part when he passes those three juveniles is suspicious to me because I don't know, the blurry video, I think it shows his true face because I don't know that he would really be walking towards Abby and Libby with a face covering to be even more scary than he originally was. Did Rick and his wife do anything for Valentine's Day, which was the day after the murders? I don't know. It was their 25th anniversary a few months before. And I've mentioned that previously, and people have said, Tom, you totally overestimate the value of Valentine's Day for couples who have been married for 25 years. Yes, Debbie. Something said that Rick has had mental problems since his childhood. And some people have speculated that if he was on some kind of mental medication since he was a child, it may have stunted his growth. And that's why he's 5'4". I'm just repeating what people say. This is white, and my face is actually white instead of pink. It's just the camera's messed up. Well, I mean, really, Doug Carter does speak in haikus. It's like he gets a lot of flack online for some of his answers, but we have to remember he knows information. He does not want to mess up the investigation, at least before Rick was arrested. And he's on camera. It's not like he gets asked a question. He can be like, okay, let me wait 30 seconds before I give you an answer. So he kind of like speaks in haikus and weird sentences and stuff. Yeah, I agree, Debbie. So in April 2019, if Rick's wife sees a 20-year-old guy, she's gonna be like, okay, it was not Rick. But what about in the days and weeks after? I mean, it just doesn't add up to me that a wife would not know. Sorry, my face keeps changing colors. That a wife would not know her husband's voice or his clothing. I'm saying like from the bridge guy's screen capture. Cece, maybe Rick wore both his Carhartt jackets that day, the black one underneath. Well, the juvenile witness said he was wearing, I think she said more than one jacket. A lot of us have speculated, is he wearing a brown like sweatshirt and hoodie? Because they're around his waist or underneath his waist, we can see it's either a brown, some kind of bag or waist bag, or it's just like a sweatshirt or a shirt hanging out underneath, but it's too blurry to tell. So does Rick own a brown sweatshirt? And also, I'm curious to know, are police able to confiscate Rick's wife's phone, his daughter's phone, his mom's phone to see what kind of photos they have of Rick? Like I just mentioned 2 hours ago, on Rick's wife's Facebook, there was a video around Thanksgiving where Rick was in the backyard and it kind of looked like he was wearing a blue jacket. So are police going to look through these family photos to show Rick, you're wearing the exact same lighter jacket that bridge guy is wearing? And also the jeans. I know my first video was kind of a point of debate. I felt like there may have been holes in the jeans of bridge guy, which could have been just due to the blurry low quality of that video. But also I think like there was like a white faded mark on, as you're looking at the bridge guy, it's on the right leg underneath the knee on the side. So are there any videos or photos showing Rick wearing these jeans that either have holes in them or this like faded white spot in the same spot where a bridge guy has it? I don't know. That's just possible evidence. I don't know. "11 more minutes. Remind me when it's 3 o'clock, 3 hours." CJK, how do we know the wife did not recognize him? And then he says, "Yes, I was there, and I told them I was there." Would she have wondered then? Probably, but he excuses it away as liars and manipulators do. I mean, I can understand a wife who's been married to a guy for 25 years think, there's no way my husband went over to those trails and killed 2 girls. I mean, who knows what his history is? I know there was some kind of report that his wife maybe called 911 a few years earlier because Rick was drunk, and I tried to get that report, but I can't find it, so I actually DM'd one of the local Indiana, reporters, and he did not reply to me. Nobody replies to me. Anyway, so, yeah, I don't know how she would not recognize him. The Rockway says, "Rick does not have to prove anything. The entire burden is on the state." Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, Debbie, I totally wanna know this. I wonder what he was saying to his wife when law enforcement was searching their home for hours. And one of the neighbors, luckily they're nosy and they were taking a few pictures. And also, I guess they told Barbara McDonald a list of items that they thought were taken from the home, which I think included a few books. And I guess we know that they took the jackets. I forget what the full list is. If the neighbors are watching, DM me with some good details. Lisa, did they check the liquor store footage? There weren't liquor store sales there on Sunday in 2017. And I know a lot of people would buy liquor come Monday. And there's been speculation that Rick was an alcoholic and may have even gone to rehab either before or after the murders. People say that his face is so bloated because, like mine right now, I don't drink alcohol, but they said his face was bloated because of alcohol. Some people have wondered, was Rick drunk or on some kind of drugs the day of the murders? There's been a few photos that have been released with Rick where his pupils look very large, and some people say that's because he was puffing the reefer. I don't know. Let's see. 7.5 more minutes, people. I'm gonna go to the bottom. Let's see what's going on. Let's see. Yeah, there's Marshall says he went straight to rehab after this, right? Good excuse for off behaviors. Well, that might be one of the things that police are trying to get a subpoena for, is to find out, did Rick truly go to some kind of mental or alcohol or drug kind of rehabilitation? I think one of the people on Reddit who said that they worked with Rick for a while, they said there was a rumor that Rick had gone to some kind of rehab, but they weren't really specific from what I remember. Oh my gosh. Hi, C4P. I have searched thousands of Carhartt jackets made 2017 or earlier. Haven't found a single one that matches the Bridge Guy jacket. I know. I have spent so much time, like hours, searching for jackets. For my first Delphi video, I spent so much time, and after it was revealed that Rick had a Carhartt jacket, and I've not found one that really looks exactly similar. I don't know. Charmaine says, turn on allow gifts. I will be gifting a couple memberships before the live ends. Unfortunately, I don't know how to do that, and I hate looking at the behind the scenes like options when I'm on camera. So maybe next time, if there is a next time. 5 minutes, people. Hi, Cecil Hotel. Love your videos and the way you think and deliver. Thank you. I spend a lot of time making my videos, and I'm just trying to save people time. So I'm glad that some people appreciate the effort I put in. Love to hunt. Carhartt jacket, jeans, t-shirt, sweatshirt, and boots. I tipped in that if someone in law enforcement went and retrieved the surveillance from the Tractor Supply in Monticello, they would have seen Bridge Guy shopping there. I spent so many hours watching like tractor auctions and like motorcycle clubs and stuff, trying to see like for my first video, trying to find a guy who was wearing exactly the jacket as Bridge Guy. I never found somebody who's wearing the same jacket. Oh, somebody donated. Cecil Hotel, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, this is something we haven't talked about today. This account was the Craig Renfro alias a misunderstanding, or was it an alias for Alan? So when Rick was first arrested, there was some kind of law enforcement document that came out, and it said under aliases, it said Craig, I forget what it said, Craig Renfro Ross. I think it was Craig Ross Renfro, who there is some guy with that name somewhat in that area of like Peru and Delphi. Some people have said it was an error, but I don't know. It seems like a weird thing to have that error. So I'm not sure this account if that was ever clarified. I was thinking since Rick had access to a lot of people who came into the pharmacy, he would have access to people's full names and their information. I'm not saying that he was like taking people's identity, but that was just a thought that I had. This account, I want to be a member, but can't afford Tom. Love you all the same. It's fine. The membership is only a live chat every Saturday or every third Saturday of the month. What are we at? I have 3 more minutes and then I'm abruptly leaving. Don't hate me. I think we've gone through pretty much everything twice. Hi, Regina. My grandmother was born in Ireland, County Mayo. Sorry, I'm just looking for stuff that we have not talked about. Oh, gone. All right, I'm going to end it with another stupid Tom story. So this is going to be my last thing. I'm done talking about Delphi. So at work, I work on a certain floor, and like I said, I have access to the cameras, and we also have an office on the first floor. And a few months ago, somebody came in after 5 o'clock onto the first floor lobby, and they were looking into our other office like really suspiciously. That was not me. So the building made me aware of it, and they sent me the video. And so Sluther Vandross, I have to bring out my Sluther Vandross in real life every once in a while. So I looked at this video, and this guy, like, he was totally suspicious. And so I was concerned that he was going to come back and maybe break in. So I saw that on the video, he sat in the chair and then he looked at 2 different magazines that were on the table. So Einstein over here got a tissue, and I went down to the lobby and I grabbed these 2 magazines for possible future fingerprints and DNA evidence if this guy ended up like breaking in. And it turned out that he was a private investigator. I don't know what he was doing, but that's just another stupid Tom story about how I do true crime in real life. Rojamno, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. How do you think the defense will play, quote, all the tears and no one recognized his picture? So I think you mean all the years, and no one recognized his picture or voice in doubt, or reduce charges on a plea or insanity. For insanity, I think you have to prove that you were insane at the time of the crime, not that you were insane like 5 or 6 years later when you're in jail and you don't like the consequences of your actions. Rick, as far as we've seen, he has not been cooperating or saying that he's guilty of anything. So it's been 7 months and he's not really doing any kind of plea deal. So at this point, it seems like he's going to try and get a trial, which, like I said, I don't know if it's going to be like 3 or 4 years from now. How will the defense play that no one recognized his picture or the voice? Well, I think the defense team or the prosecution might say the photo or the video quality was just not good enough to explicitly show that it was Rick or anybody else. For the voice, I'm hoping that there will be a voice expert and also family, friends, or coworkers who knew Rick who will get on the stand and say, yes, that is Rick saying down the hill. That's his voice. So that's that. We're ending it, you guys. It's exactly 3 hours. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Like I said, I always say like I said. I'm so annoying, I know. So June 15th is Rick's next court date. I'm not going to be surprised if it gets pushed again. I will do my member chat on Saturday the 17th, and I will do a public chat on Sunday the 18th at the same time this one started. Noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, 8 UK. Any final comments? What does Tom do for work? Apparently Tom doesn't work. He's looking at security cameras and measuring other people. You're welcome, Debbie. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Cece. Thank you to all my moderators. Hopefully people in the chat were being nice to each other. I didn't really see anything, so hopefully the moderators removed the horrible things that people said to each other. Lisa says there is a offender in that area for Ross. The Craig Renfro guy, I saw he may have had a charge, but I did not see that it was related to what you're saying. Thank you, Charmaine. Hopefully you can go back to your home soon. Anything good? Hi, Jinx. I haven't seen you all chat. Yeah, I hope you guys find this interesting to hear other people's perspectives. And next month, I'll keep updating my PowerPoint for next month, and I'll share the latest updates. So that's it, you guys. Hi, Dave. I haven't seen you in a while. In Dave's opinion, law enforcement went to Rick's house first while he was not home and casually asked his wife some questions, perhaps if he had any guns. Then law enforcement saw the exact gun and went back to get a search warrant. Hopefully we'll get more details at the trial, Dave. Shane, thank you for staying up late. I know you're, I think, in the UK. All right, you guys, I'm going to click end now. Bye. Thank you for joining.